What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is DH Thorne here with my good friend, the Flesh Priest, and a very special guest. We call him the Sparkling Shadow. Now, we call him Josh. The Shadowmancer, Josh. What's up, Josh? What's up, Flesh Priest? What's up, everybody at the audience?
Hey.
Hello, everyone.
So let's make sure that all the audio and everything's working good, and then we'll start getting going here.
The audio is always fantastic. There's never been a single issue ever in any one of these live streams. Elle will attest to that.
Elle, the Alchemist, will absolutely attest to that. It was probably the greatest stream we've ever done. With the smoothest start of any live stream ever done. Oh, my wife says there's no sound. My sound check girl says there's no sound. Are you guys getting sound? It might be my wife's broken.
No, I just checked the stream on the other page. There's sound coming through.
So it's my wife.
Camilla, you're a damn liar.
Yeah. My sound check girl broke the game.
We'll try to find it within our hearts to forgive you.
Yeah, we're good. Okay, I'm getting confirmation. We're good. We're going live. Shut up. We're doing it live. All right. So let's lead in a little bit. Let's just talk. Let's shoot the shit for a few minutes with the people that are here, and then we'll work our way into why we brought Shadowmancer on. And for those of you who haven't been here before, this is a show where I, DH Thorne, your general lunatic and flesh priest that actually makes me look sane, get together and talk about spiritual and occult things. And this is actually a live call-in show. So
yes, that will be available later, and you can look at my little face doobly-doo to get the information you need to call in.
Yeah, look at his thing. In fact, what we're going to do is when I get this going another time, we're going to do some animations at some point and get stuff scrolling around the screen to annoy you, so you know where to call in and crap. But for now, we're going to do this like the 1990s way, and we're going to actually have to make pictures and actually write things on things. But yeah, so Flesh Priest and I host a weekly show now, and it's kind of like Howard Stern and Robin. We get together and we just talk about everything, and you know, at some point when you guys are interested, probably about an hour from now, we open up the quote-unquote phone lines, and we like to use Skype, and we're going to do an experiment tonight to see if we can make Discord work. So at some point, those of you who are part of Discord, and we'll be putting up a link for that momentarily, I think, Yepson, if you don't mind.
I got it.
We'll put up a link to invite everybody who has not joined our Discord server. If you join tonight, it's a very simple process. We will pretty much automatically approve anybody who joins during the live stream. So if you join during the live stream, someone will admit you pretty quickly. Any other night, you're going to have to go through the process of reading the instructions and posting your initiation. So for those of you who are interested, we will be doing that shortly.
And speaking of the Discord, it's rather nice. I've actually been chatting with a couple people who I see in chat all the time, and got together in a video call with them. It's actually really cool seeing everybody's faces and hearing them. Like this guy, just to the left of me and a little bit below. Like, it's so nice to see your face. I see you in the chat quite a bit. And, you know, we've got Jennifer Vatsa in chat. Dovahkiin has been talking a little bit. Cracky Comics, Lucas Vose. We were in a call the other night. Tatum, Hermit, Kevin Coles, JM Hatter, JM Draco, Ella A, Arachnos, whole bunch of people. Shout out to everybody here.
I'm a little bit of, it's kind of weird to believe, but I'm a little bit of, you know, I don't like to be around tons and tons of people all the time. So I tend to be kind of like arm's length with everything there, but I get involved. I stream video games from time to time, and I do jump in the voice chat from time to time. So one thing I hate is getting bombarded with stuff, and most of you guys have been really cool, and we're just there to hang out. It's a great server for the purposes of just getting together with other people who like this kind of stuff. Yeah, no pressure, but if you like it, I think if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I think you'll like it. Thank you, Steroid. I think Steroid just popped up. I see the Maximus.
Oh yeah, Steroid was in here too. He says, love the Discord. Thank you, Steroid.
Thank you, Steroid. Yeah, he's there too. All right, let me pop out the chat, because I don't think brother Josh over there can actually see it. So let me arrange it, unless he's watching it on his home computing device. I don't think it's something he can see.
And as a while you're doing that, we're actually trying to plan a night for everybody in the Discord to jump in, play Cards Against Humanity together or something. Just a nice, relaxing. I'm sure none of us have dark senses of humor. Nothing bad could happen.
Yeah, nobody's gonna play.
That could be fun.
People in the Discord.
No Holocaust cards, you freaking white supremacists. None of that. We don't do that here.
How dare you? I
wrong
hate
with you
everyone equally.
What is wrong with everybody? My goodness. So, Kevin Coles is asking a financial question. The money goes to me, directly to me, and then at my discretion, the money gets divided up amongst the charities of my choice that usually involve different people on the screen. Yes, the money is part of my operation. Yes, if you're curious. And then people, do you ask the guy at Burger King where the money goes when you give him money for a burger? But yeah, no, the money does definitely get split up potentially between the guests depending upon the situation we're in. Yeah. So Zulok, what's up, Zulok? What's up, Jennifer Votz? Nina the Mystic. All right, so Nina's awesome. For those of you who don't know, go to Nina's channel. She does really good readings and stuff, and she works with R. Wayne Steiger. I think that's what it is. R. Wayne Steiger, Wayne R. Steiger. I always forget, but he's got a great channel too, and they're all together. So Josh, we got a few people in here now. Let's talk about why you're here, what your experiences are. Josh is one of these guys that he came to me almost, what was it, 7-8 months ago, maybe close to 8 months ago, was it? Or was it longer ago?
It was the first month you did the mentor program, so it's been 8 or 9 months. Yeah,
it's been about 8 or 9 months. Yeah, and you joined up with me, and you were already quite advanced in spiritual topics and in magic and things. You and your friend Marcus actually are quite advanced in your spiritual understanding. It was actually nice because we didn't have to go over the basics very much. It was right to the path working with Legion and the Shadownomicon, and that's where it really took off. Like that was like your whole thing. So tell us a little bit about your first experiences with that current. Get us warmed up, get us spooked out, and don't worry about the thousands of people that'll be watching this over the next couple of weeks.
Oh, no.
Integrate the shadow of public speaking, my friend, and have some fun. So go ahead, tell us all about you and your magic.
All right. So I was telling Flesh Priest a minute ago about my first experience with the shadows. It was a couple days after your book came out, and I decided to go hunting that day. And I had my phone with me. I have Kindle on there. So I sat down like 2 miles from my car and read through the entire book. And like a lot of people, I have a tendency to visualize myself doing the rituals as I read them, which when you do that, and then you're trying to walk 2 miles back to your car in the dark. I look back at it now, and it was mostly me just psyching myself out, but it was, there was something behind every tree, and things were moving, and, the shadows were there. But it was definitely one of the more intense experiences I've had.
That is still kind of part of the current, isn't it? It's like that little bit of unease and fear. It's not. So yeah, maybe there weren't like shadows following you around in the sense that people would want, but it's definitely indicative of something, right?
Oh yeah, they were there. It was just almost like how when you start working with Legion, you see the crowd that comes with him.
Yeah.
That's almost what I would describe it as. Is that crowd was just kind of mingling around. It was just there to kind of see how I would react, testing me a little bit.
Yeah. Like, are you brave enough in a way? And also they feed on that fear. They feed on that apprehension.
Oh, yeah.
That, one of the things that I describe in the book, and always since I was a kid, One of the feelings everyone's familiar with, and it's not exclusive to shadow people, but it's definitely one of their hallmarks. There's a feeling you get when you're like, walking up a flight of stairs at night and the lights are off down below and you're heading towards the light and it's dark behind you. You're a little creeped out. Maybe it's the basement or something, or there's like maybe a dark room and you're like feeling around. There's like a little creepy feeling of something with you or something. That little extra is something that a lot of people can resonate with, and that's a very common feeling. So like the idea of you walking home in the dark, after a hunting trip, and you got to go through a valley in the middle of the night with lots of trees for shadows to be around. And I don't know if you're like me, you don't use a flashlight unless you absolutely have to, because I like being able to see in the dark. I don't like ruining my night vision. But if you are using a flashlight, that kind of makes it worse, because now you're moving the flashlight around, or maybe it's on your brim or something, and that's going to be extra spooky because you're casting moving shadows at that point. So that had to be fun. In fact, I would have really enjoyed that. Like, I'm the type of person that would have spooked me, and I would have loved every minute of the spook. I would have had so much fun being spooked like that.
I would have had fun afterwards telling the stories. In the moment, I would have a warm feeling of shit in my pants.
It was as the things that I've done in my past life with military and all that. It was definitely an adrenaline fueled experience, I could say.
And you're used to getting shot at. I mean, you're in the sandbox and you've experienced at least some pucker factor, I'm sure.
yeah. But you learn to enjoy the adrenaline. But when it's something that you've never dealt with before, you tend to react a little differently. Yeah. And that was definitely an experience that got me a little bit. But that was my first experience with the book and working with it. And then I promptly put it down and did not touch it until you started your mentor program and picked it back up, and we started working through it.
Yeah, and that was, I remember you going through the steps, and I've got a couple other people now going through it. One other mentoree's going through it. Tonight will probably be the night that they initiate with Legion. Actually, a couple people were planning it from what I understand. So tonight is a full moon. There's different times you can do this stuff. They're doing it tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see what tomorrow's like all over Facebook with the people that are doing this. Hopefully it went well. It is possible you won't experience much of anything. I mean, so tell us a little bit about, so you're working through the book. Tell us what the easiest and the hardest thing was to work through. And while you're getting ready to say that, this is the book we're talking about. I'm not doing an ad tonight, but this is the topic, Shadownomicon, which is all about the shadow people. It was released right about this time last year. So it's the 1-year anniversary of the book for those of you who are interested in it.
Yeah, the hardest thing that I've worked through with it is probably Ronzael.
Okay. Is he the one you're currently on, or the one just before? No, that's right. Yep. You were working on a different one. Yeah, currently. Yeah, keep going. I don't want to cut you off.
I just finished up working with the Shadow Woman. But Ronzael was actually the third one that I did. And post deployment, post everything, I lived in a place almost completely devoid of emotion for several years. And with Rance, that cold calculating, the plotting, coming back, the very logical, if I move this piece and this piece and this piece, then I get this result. And it doesn't matter what anybody else sees or does. If I do these things, I get what I want. Mm-hmm. And him feeding that was something that I had to kind of take a step back and, oh, okay, let's calm down.
I think of all of them in some ways, I don't want to say he's the most dangerous, but he can be, because something about him appeals to the worst part of people who seek power, or like the sociopath or something in us. We all have the capacity for that. At least a lot of us do. And something about that being really appeals. I mean, it is called the wickedest shadow, or the shadow of wickedness. And it is that deeply spiteful, plotting, Machiavellian, But there's also an element of weakness there in that it tends to blame things. It tends to, not that it is like this, because you have to remember these are spirits. They're not that, but it tends to invoke feelings of blame and, like, you did this to me, I need to get you, or, it's your fault that this is, a little bit of that, and not so much as like the Shadow Woman, which will be, I'm such a victim, but it's a little different. So,
yeah, with Rance, I definitely got the petty that you're talking about, the little slights that somebody would make an offhand comment. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get you back for that. This is I'm gonna get you. But then when I started working with the Shadow Woman, that everything was the petty that you were describing. It nothing is her fault. How dare you? How dare you do that to me? I didn't do anything wrong. And actually, there was if you have a minute, I have a funny story about that happened today. I can share with you.
Please do.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So it's been probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. After I had initiated with the Shadow Woman and started working with her, I found somebody that needed to integrate the Shadow Woman or be destroyed by the Shadow Woman. Either way.
One of the best ways to use them is to, in baneful work, is you inflict their own shadow on them, and yeah.
Exactly. So I did the ritual. I basically called out the Dark Mother from this individual, or her Dark Mother, as they're all us, and had a little conversation and just left it alone. And today I get a text from my buddy who tells me that while he was picking up his daughter, they're in the middle of a custody fight. While he's picking up his daughter, this woman proceeds to take her vehicle and back it into the side of the car that he was attempting to buckle his daughter in. And then she drives off to work and hopes that he doesn't follow her, do anything about it. And then when he confronted her, none of it was her fault. How dare you park behind me in a parking lot? Told the cops that how dare you, he did this to me. He parked where he knew I couldn't see. Just completely illogical discussion from this person, but she did it on the record in front of police. And I have a feeling that that's going to get brought up in court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably a little bit.
Yeah. So little things like that have been happening with the targeted baneful stuff that I've done with them. The Dark Mother is another one that I used specifically in the case dealing with my life. And the work that she did for me there was complete, shall I say. I have not heard from that individual in months.
Yep.
Yeah. They just decided not to even show up to court.
I remember. Go ahead.
Quick shout out, Shaman Sorcerer says you all have a great night, and you have a great night yourself, my dude.
Oh, I hope you get to stick around. I know he's got hours and stuff, and guy's a nice guy. I had a consult with him not too long ago. He's hyper intelligent, and he's also a little manic because of it, and it's very interesting to talk to him. It's actually like you gotta be on your toes because he knows stuff. It's great to talk to Shaman. He's a good guy. So hopefully we'll be working together soon. And so if he's still here, Shaman, email me when you know what's going on with that other thing we talked about. We'll get to doing that. So thanks for showing up. Thank you for that gift. And so
we
Josh,
were talking about the baneful curses, and then you were starting to or baneful shadows.
Yeah.
You were about to say something.
So Josh, so you went through the initiation with everything. Describe the initial working with Legion, if you can, if you're willing to discuss it.
So, while I was working with you, I built up to this over almost 2 months, just making sure that I had the right tools, everything just right, because the stuff that I had done previously with Magic was very, very I am the magic. So I had never really taken the time to build a specific grimoire for something. I had notes, but I didn't have like a specific grimoire, and I didn't have the dedicated athame and things like that. So I took the time to learn more about the process and to put all my energy into this. And I sat down on the appointed day, and I sit down and I start doing my ritual. And the first thing that I notice is that I'm obviously a pretty big guy, and I had put the candle on the floor.
Yeah, how big are you? You my size? Like, what are you, 6'1", 6'2"?
I'm 6'1", 275.
So we're almost neck and neck. I'm 278 as of the other day. I'm getting it, baby. Keto, yeah. So you and I would have a great arm wrestling match. I think it would be like an epic clash of the titans. I'd probably go, oh shit, and get my ass kicked, but it'd be worth it. I'd love to try it.
You two could fucking break me.
Oh,
I see
dude,
eye to eye with you, but
no, you have to understand, like, two big dudes, I don't know, Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Big dudes fighting is like the most heinous thing in the world. It hurts, man. It's not like I would fight anybody smaller than me, and if I was smaller, I wouldn't be afraid to fight bigger people, but two big dudes fighting, it's like watching two mountains bump into each other. It's horrible. It's like things break. It just sucks.
Yes, it really does suck when you get hit by somebody our size.
Even if you're our size, it's not. It's just things come off of you. It's not cool. And you're built like I am, dude. You got like the big bones. You're fucking huge. You got the shoulders. Yeah. Oh man, it'd be like watching just two gorillas go. It'd probably last about 3 seconds, and we probably both fall over.
Well, with our martial arts backgrounds, it could be entertaining.
I don't know. I'm out of touch though. You've been doing it a lot more than I have lately. I've been doing this, and so you're gonna have an advantage. I'd probably have to shoot you. You probably want to shoot me too, anyway. So I guess we'd be even there, right?
I'm getting old. If there's distance, I'm not closing the gap unless I have to.
Right. Once you pass that 3.5, it's like, yeah, you stay there. You stay over there.
Another super chat from the Shaman Sorcerer says, "Thank you for the compliment, brother."
Oh, thank you, Shaman. Thank you, brother. Once again, don't forget. Just email me when you get your situation settled, and we will handle the rest of. I'll keep it in escrow, basically, and we'll do it when you're ready. So don't worry about it. Yeah. So all right. So keep going. So you started this path. You wanted to make sure you had all the bells and whistles and dotted I's and crossed T's.
Yeah. All right. So I sat down, and the first thing that I noticed is where I'm a big dude, I put the candle on the floor, and it's behind me. So I have light, but there's this cone around me where there's no light, and I can't see my grimoire. So I was sitting on a mat, and I ended up having to hold my grimoire like up over here, trying to read it with the. And looking back, I still got an amazing result from the ritual, but it was one of those things. It's like, oh, if I had run through that, just a little bit, just thought about it a little more, I could have maybe gotten even a better result. But I went through, as I start calling Legion. Legion comes through, and that experience as he came through was one of the few times in my life where I've had to. I texted you shortly after it happened, and it was like I nearly fell over backwards. It just hit me in the face. And very, very rarely do I get taken off guard by something like that. And the sheer presence of all of the shadows that came into the room was not overwhelming, but it was one of those things where you just kind of have to take a breath, and you're like, okay, all right, this is why I'm here. I have to remember why I'm here.
Was it scary, or was it just like a heaviness? Like, what would you describe it as?
It wasn't scary to me. As you know, I'm a psychology nerd. So for me, working with the shadows It makes perfect sense to me, as we are working with ourselves with that current. And it wasn't scary because I almost felt like, yes, I'm calling Legion, but I'm also calling my own subconscious
Yep.
at the same time. So for me, why should I be afraid of my own subconscious? Yes, there's Legion, but he's bringing this out of me at the same time. So
No,
it
it's
wasn't.
makes total sense. Remember, like we say, a lot of this, what you're dealing with, is a fragment of what you are. It is, and not just in the non-dualistic sense. Even if we took non-dualism, put it in the toilet, and flushed the handle, what we're talking about as shadow people are still projections of something about us that become egregoric entities in our environment and can persist long after us, or next to us, or outside of us.
Mhm.
And E.A. Quetting, one of his recent videos, it very much touched me that he brought me up and Shadownomicon and talking about that, and he gets it, and that's what I love about about that guy is he's real, dude. He's real, and it's people who have really deep running shadows will almost always have some sort of a result from this kind of working, even if it's not, the most resounding, spooky, caught on film paranormal experience. It will still have a deep resonant effect with you. So Legion comes with all of Legion's friends, and so you began working with them. So you're also now. There's another gentleman on the Balg forums. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm not part of Balg at all, but I am good friends with E.A. Quetting. I'm good friends with JD Temple. Good friends with some of those people. And on the Balg forums, there's someone who is also doing a path working through the book.
Mm-hmm.
They actually have a post in the forum, which is actually really good. And that post, at least up to the point that I got to, I can validate pretty much everything they said is exactly what I would expect. Some things were different. I mean, that's to be expected. But their experience was, it's like, yeah, they connected to the current very well. So I don't remember the gentleman's name. If you are in the chat, which you might be, because I know you're in the Shadowgate group, and I know you're in a few other places. If you're here, please comment and let everybody know where to find that on Balg. But there's a really good. It reads like the guy's writing a story, but that's okay. One of the things that I want to talk about in a future video, if not this one, is that one of the better ways some people connect to spirits is to do so in almost a book writing mentality. So you enter a trance state, you do whatever you got to do to make your connection, you open your sigils, whatever you're going to do. Sometimes it's just as simple as lighting a candle and some incense and just staring at it for a little while and calling upon the spirit you want to talk to. And then you just start writing what as if you and just let the spirit inspire you to write the right things. And sometimes that works very well. That's like a very low level invocation type of thing, but it's definitely legitimate. So check that out. Go into Balg, the Balg forums. Yes.
Somebody actually says that they have the username of the person that was writing that. It's apparently Norse 900.
That's right. Yeah, it was Norse 900. And if someone gets a hold of that person, if they do show up, give them a big thumbs up from me. It's quite good. Everything up until my comment, I validated. Everything after that, I didn't get a chance to read yet. So it's very good, very very good. So yeah, keep going, Josh. Or Flesh, do you have anything you want to interject with all this? I know you're waiting on the Shadow Current a little bit, but anything you want to interject?
So about the blog that you mentioned, I actually pulled that up yesterday and caught up past your comment, and I think that you're really going to enjoy some of the things that he had to say.
I'll have to look into it. Yeah,
he gets it.
He gets it. Yeah.
It's really good.
Really good.
So with Legion, I noticed it was, as I started working with Legion more in depth, I noticed that it was chaos in my life, and it wasn't anything that I couldn't handle, but I noticed that it was things that I normally wouldn't experience. I texted you at one point and was like, I've been going since 2:00 in the morning, and this has happened, and this has happened, and this has happened, and this has happened. And they know that I'm supposed to do this ritual tonight, and um, like pushing myself to do that, and realizing with Legion, um, that was where I figured out that if you fight the current, it will kick your ass. Um, it's like I described it to you, was it's like trying to swim across a river while you're going upstream,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get there eventually, but it's going to kick your ass while it does it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you can use the current and you can start in a different spot, and you'll end up,
Right. Aim
at
aim
your
down the
goal.
river and you'll be doing better.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'll carry you.
And there will be
Uh,
boulders in the way. There will definitely be boulders
Yes.
in the way.
Yeah, you'll bounce around a little bit. It's not too bad if you do it that way.
Not for
Uh,
everybody. I mean, there's some people who it's going to be very bad, but for some people it's going to be quite good.
That's
You know,
that's true.
your psychology background helps, and let's not forget some of that. Oh, it's not that bad. Could also be them at work making you feel,
Oh yeah.
oh, I got this by the balls. Here comes the freight train. This is great. I'm on top. Boom, smash. So be aware.
Yeah,
Just be aware. But you
I've,
know,
I've had
you're
that happen
doing
a
very
couple
well.
times with them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I've got this, and then I come home and I get a text from somebody, and there's this small explosion in my life, and it's
Mhm.
like, when did I start working with Belial? When did this happen?
Like I've noticed when you've been telling me your stories, things that happen. Usually, right before you have some kind of a powerful, baneful effect on someone, the shadow comes to you first as a problem. So you'll
Yep.
be there minding your own business. You'll start working with a spirit, and then you'll work with the tall man, for example, and then all of a sudden this one thing starts happening that's a challenge. And you're like, "Fuck, what do I
Yep.
do?" And then as a result of that, working with then at the end you're inflicting it on somebody else, in a way. You know, not necessarily, but you'll learn
Yeah.
something about that. And yeah, so it is also very good for people who are into psychology. I've noticed people who have something they're into it enough, you know, that they resonate with these ideas. It tends to work pretty quickly and pretty well. So
Yeah, and that was one thing that I really noticed is, um, and it's even in the blog that the guy was writing, and pretty sure it's in Shadownomicon at some point. I would have to reread it, but it's almost like they're guiding the events in your life. It's not a daily. We're going to have a conversation for 45 minutes today. It's You'll be minding your own business and something random will happen. Like when you're working with the Colossal Shadow and some guy decides to tailgate you for 45 miles down the interstate, and there's nothing you can do about it, but you're ready to rip him out of the car.
yeah, yeah. And you have to deal with that shadow. What do I do with that now?
Yep.
Even just feeling that makes it less of a shadow. It's the parts that you don't acknowledge. It's that
Mhm.
it's that part of you that isn't just feeling angry. It's the not understanding why is a big part of it. You know, why do you feel that anger? But yeah, so they'll
Just-
test you and they'll show you those shadows.
And for me, it's you get that overwhelming emotion, and be it rage with the Colossal Shadow, or lusts, or perversion with the Tall Man, or any of it. You get that initial rush of emotion, and as long as you can kind of keep your head, or at least with me, as long as I kept my head, I was able to start processing and getting underneath the emotion to figure out what it was that was making me want to react the way that I was presenting myself with. And the deeper I get, the more it's like those situations are still showing up in various ways. But now, because I learned how I'm reacting and why I'm reacting the way that I am, and I'm integrating that shadow, I'm able to get ahead of it and react in a way that is extremely beneficial for me. So initially, you do get bounced around, and it's a never ending process. But as you begin the integration and you start to get deeper, you start to see the boulders coming. You won't see all of them, but you'll see enough of them that for me it's started being helpful instead of just being oh no, here we go again. Like you said, when we first started working together, they'll start showing up and it's like, oh, hi.
Yeah. Even if you still get that little bit of spine tingling fright, it's not the same thing. It's like you'll feel a twinge of fear, and you'll look over there and be like, "What's up?" And instead of responding with internal fear, it's literally just your body going, "Ah!" But you're fine. Like you're fine. Yep. There's literally nothing that can hurt you about it unless you let it. And so you just respond to it like, "Okay, you just got a little taste of energy. What do you want? What's up?" And you don't.
What are we doing today?
It's like having a friend at school who's a little bit of a bully, like I might have been, where I don't just come up and shake your hand or something. I slap you, what's up? And you're like, oh, fuck this guy. So I'm not really like that, by the way, guys. So Flesh Priest, you're going to actually like the Tall Man when it's your time to work with this stuff, because you're probably going to weird out the Tall Man a little bit. Actually, you're probably
that is what I aspire to do with all entities.
Right? It's just for those of you who've seen what was it, Scary Movie 2, when the clown...
Are you going to reference the clown scene? Yep.
I was going to reference the clown scene. Yes, I was. How did you know I was going to go there? How did you know? I feel like someone's caught you on that before.
Maybe I watched it at a young age and was inspired.
Oh, jeez. Oh, we love Flesh Priest. That's why
I think that you'll enjoy the Tall Man. That'll be an interesting one.
I think he already does. I think the Tall Man's gonna be like, you got this.
Not touching it. Not touching it.
No.
Yep.
Oh, man.
I will have to pay special attention to that part of the book when I finally get through Become the Maelstrom.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. I am working on it.
You're a little baby pup, dude. I would recommend that if you're looking at my works, the order of playing with them, if you're going to use them, spend 6 months to a year minimum working on everything and Become the Maelstrom. I mean, if you're going to do this like it's a college course or something, Become the Maelstrom is a lifetime of stuff, but it's work with that for like a year. And you can sort of maybe start integrating some of the Vampire Handbook, but you really want to focus on that one first. Get it done. Make sure you don't even have to do the path working necessarily. The path working is just example rituals you can do. There's really no reason to do just those. But if you do everything up to the path working section and you understand all of that, you've tried the exercises, you know how to make energy balls, you know how to do meditation, you understand all the concepts and why I talked about them, you do your homework and your own research on non-duality and the subjects that I talk about, by the time you get to path working legitimately, and you've done that for a little while or done some other system, you can pick up any system with the stuff I give you in the first 2 books alone. Go to any system you want and apply those techniques and methods that I gave you to any system, and you'll do a lot better than if you just tried to pick up a system by itself and use it without that explanation. So that to me is like the real meat and potatoes of the book. The last third is literally just like, here's stuff you can do with all the crap I told you. Like, it's like, here's how to cook, now here's some recipes, is kind of like what it is. So work through that for a while. Shadownomicon really requires a pretty good understanding of everything that is in... You've either got to be practicing for a number of years already and understand the basics, or at least a year with Become the Maelstrom, and then you've got to be emotionally ready to deal with the shit that may get stirred up or may not. You, Flesh Priest, actually, you probably wouldn't have a bad time with it. You don't have shadows that are already kind of leaning into your life, and I'm not saying you have no problems. I'm just saying you don't have, like, you're not already like on the edge and just need one more hit to die. You're basically, you're pretty stable. All it would be is just a question of getting magically ready, getting able to do the rituals and know how to protect yourself and how to clear your mind and all the good stuff that you have to do, so that when stuff does happen, you don't freak out and go, oh shit, what's happening? What do I do? What do you think, Josh? Would you agree? Maybe is a year enough time, or should it be more than that?
Um, well, for me, I had only been practicing magic knowingly for a little over a year when we started working together, but I had spent the 8 years previous going through my entire life, trying to learn psychology on my own and trying to figure out why I was experiencing these things um, with PTSD, with anxiety, with addiction. Why was my reaction when something bad happened to pick up a bottle? What was the core reason behind that?
Mm-hmm.
Why was my reaction when this stressor showed up? Why did I react this way? And that's just how my brain worked. And for 8 years, I dug in without professional counseling, without medication. I don't recommend that you do that, but that's just the approach that I took. So 8 years into this, 9 years into this, I find Shadownomicon and it's like, oh, well, this plays right into the things that I've been doing for the last 8 years. But I will say that without that background of at least at least thinking about the core reasons that you react the way that you do, uh, yeah, you you're gonna have a bad time if you just jump in. um,
Yeah, stick your chin out and be like, "Hit me, bitch! I can tell." Uh-oh, yeah.
yeah,
Maybe I shouldn't
that's
have
not
done
gonna
that.
be good.
And I wanna also tell you guys something. For those of you who are like, "Well, I guess that means I should never touch Shadownomicon."
No.
Actually, the deal is, just like Become the Maelstrom, the way I design my books is usually the ritual work is, a third or less usually of the book. The rest of it's explanation and understanding. Ooh, excuse me, man, sorry, you probably picked that up on the microphone. Is explanation and understanding of the subject and the methods and everything else. So Shadownomicon, up until the part where you're supposed to start doing the actual rituals, very valuable stuff in there, very useful if you're interested in the subject of shadows. But I would say that Shadownomicon is not the only or even the best way to do shadow work. It's just the most black magic way that you can do it. The Qliphoth being probably equally close second, very similar concept. And I've never done work with the Qliphoth before, but I'm familiar with it enough to know that I'm just not interested. I got my own way. But there's a lot of ways, and there's psychological ways, there's mundane ways, there's just plain psychology. You don't have to work with magic and pull your shadow egregore out, and you don't have to manifest a shadow egregore to work on your shadow. But some people, it is easier to do it that way. Just like in psychology, there's times where you want a lot of counseling, other times you want to do, have them do writing and artwork, and there's different ways that people heal themselves. Some people, like, there was this, when I was in school, we had this woman come in health class, and she was an artist that had based her art on the pain she felt after being raped. And, it was tragic, of course. It was sad that their life was changed so much by this, but it's normal, it happens. And so a lot of her artwork, it started off very anti-male, and then as she integrated the thing that happened, it became pro-female, and then it integrated the male and the female again, and she was better. She'd learned to be okay with guys again and with men and everything. So she essentially created a shadow person, pulled out a shadow egregore, even though it didn't manifest as a shadow person, in art. And she who was her egregore? Who would have her shadow person would have been the tall man, and it would have been this grotesque, lanky, long, gross, pervert. She worked with that first, and then ended up working through her artwork and by drawing her feelings and getting them out and facing them. She eventually integrated them and then became a whole person again. And that's kind of the point of doing it this way. Is it's just another way to do that, and it doesn't have to be this way. But I will say, though, that whether you do it or not, whether you intentionally do this or not, shadow people show up. And I've known people that don't know anything about this current, but they've grown up seeing these beings. And sometimes other entities come through as shadows, for sure. Almost any spirit can manifest a shadow, right? That's not really that unusual. But shadow people are a specific thing. They're definitely notable, and people who've experienced them will usually tell you the same kind of story about them. they're usually lurking and watching them. They're usually happen in people's lives that have a lot of chaos and drama or emotional. It's like an abusive household. Kids that grow up in that almost always see shadows at some point. People with a lot of addiction problems tend to see things like this as well. It tends to be a very common thing. So keep that in mind, guys. If you don't feel like you've ever seen one and you have a pretty well-adjusted life, that's probably why you've never fed that egregore enough for it to pop out and walk around in your presence. Basically, that's one way to look at it. So.
And another thing that you should keep in mind is that JD motherfucker Temple is in the house, and he says, "Hey y'all, I can't stay, but I want to say hi." And fuck yeah,
JD. I want to get you on
soon. Fuck yeah
to
you
dude.
too, brother.
Dude, one of my good friends, I love JD, man. And if you guys don't know, he streams a lot during the week. I'm sure a lot of you guys know. I see a lot of you guys are on my channel and his. Give JD your love this week. I think he'll be doing his Saturday Night Sinners Club this week. If not, make sure you check his channel and follow him. And he gets down to some shenanigans on his channel. He puts out good magical information, but he's also just a fun dude to hang out with. And he talks a lot.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about psychedelic magic, all that kind of stuff. And the connection he has to his spirits is just beautiful to watch. The journeys they put him on, the things that he's got to deal with, and then the way he handles it and just comes out just with love in his heart. And that's amazing to me, For the left hand path, I think he said this on one of his last streams. Here we are on the left hand path, and we've got some of the most loving people in our community, right? In this thing, and JD's definitely in that bubble of loving people. And
JD is one of those dudes that even if you think he is completely full of shit, you can still tune in and have a completely enjoyable experience.
And he's not full of shit.
Dude's awesome.
And the shit that he'll be
for the
full
record,
of is probably going to be like a big old bottle of bourbon or something. He's gonna be We love you, brother, and please
that
come
holy
on soon.
tobacco.
Well, those little snuff boxes. The oh shit, what are they called? There's a word for them. That he was going through for a little bit. Those are pretty cool. And
oh yeah, I remember that.
What were they called? I can't think of the name of them. They had like a short end and a long end. And blowing one end and it shoots it up. It's pretty cool stuff. But yeah.
Nor can I, but hopefully he'll educate us in the comments section.
Yeah, he probably will.
But since we're already on a tangent, I wanna ask real quick. We were talking about the most black magic way of doing things, and Josh, you seem like a great guy. I've just met you and everything, but yeah,
I've just met you, and this is gonna sound crazy, but
yeah, no, you here's my number, call me baby. But no, I get the impression that it's late for you and you need to stay up late and everything, to be here with us bastards. So caffeine, obviously, but why? Oh, you're all in black and everything. Why would you choose the bubblegum bang, the cotton candy?
Why is that blurry?
Hold on,
hold that up.
Where is the
Why is that
skull
blurring? Hold on, show that again. Is that blurring for everybody else? Oh my goodness, it's like they don't want the brand to show. You see that? Is that just me, guys? Someone
Hold on, let me go get my tinfoil.
No, for real. Like I think Skype is freaking brand aware, and they don't want
might
brand
be
being shown. Let me hold it up again, guys. Tell me. Hold it up, Josh. Tell us again, because I know for me it's blurred. Is that blurred? Hold it like at your head. Hold it where your head is. Okay. All right.
There
never mind. You scared me for a minute.
Tinfoil's coming off. Okay,
it was
cool.
okay. Yep. Tinfoil
false
off.
Alarm.
Tinfoil
False
off.
alarm.
Tinfoil off. Everything's fine. Bill Gates is not involved. It's fine. We're cool.
We're not crazy. Let's go back to talking about the shadows.
Okay, so it's because he held it up to the camera, and I'm just an idiot. So sorry, guys.
Okay.
Was that my was that my Joe Rogan moment? Was that where they're gonna?
You already had your Joe Rogan moment. You were talking about the fucking gorillas being able to beat people up earlier.
That's right. I was. Yeah, I was. All right. So,
okay.
So back to what you were saying.
Totally threw us for a fucking loop.
Sorry. Well, we went off tangent, and that's what happens. Like we have to go through a couple of different turns now. So go ahead. You were going to ask him a question before I rudely interrupted because Skype was doing.
Oh no, I was just going to say, like, where's the skull dripping with the blood of your enemies to keep you up? Why go for the bang?
Well,
I give the people I care about the most shit.
that's
Are you cheating on your company by drinking that, dude, or is that bottled
Actually,
by the same company?
no. We are actually the exclusive distributor for Bang
That's what
now,
I thought.
so I can get away with drinking it
So he's not
publicly.
cheating. He's not doing anything bad.
No,
Flesh Priest, you now shall be whipped. Call in the tall man. Call in tall man.
because I'm sure he would be glad to oblige that.
I thought of making a comment, but I better not. I don't know what I'm in for yet.
Well, you know. You ever see that scene in Pinocchio where they make him smoke all the cigars at once? But yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, that's about right. Oh,
So yeah, so all right, so Josh, you've been doing this for a while, and I don't want to just talk about that stuff because I do want to mention, actually, before I mention the other stuff, October is a powerful month this year. You've got 2 moons, you got a blue moon this month. There's a lot of astrological significance on certain things that are going on. You have a lot of retrogrades going on, but we have specifically, we're working on the Shadowgate project, and I'd also like to mention that October is very much like a Lovecraft month for me. Like I've got my little shrine to Lovecraftian memorabilia over here that just has a little bit of it. But there's something about the shadows and the Lovecraftian currents that seem to be related a lot too. And I'd also like to make a note, Flesh Priest, before we take live calls, let's take a few comment questions because last week we didn't touch any of those. Couple. Because not everybody can call in, and I do want to give preference to everybody. And so before we go into that, I do want to talk about the Shadowgate project. So agenda, Shadowgate project, take questions from the audience in the chat, and then we'll do probably live calls a little bit after that. So
when do you want me to post the Discord link?
Anytime you want. In fact, you can take it over for a minute, and I'll formulate what to say about Shadowgate in my head.
Yeah, well, okay, while you're formulating, I will just go ahead and click that button and click transition. And for everybody who's interested, you can join all of us in the Discord at that little doobly-doo. I actually fucking love that link, 6EE tree. That's
6EE tree.
Yeah, that's I kind of yeah, it's simple, and I dig it. But yeah, you can join a bunch of us motherfuckers in there just talking about magic, hanging out, having a good time, and possibly some game nights in the future, which I would look forward to.
Yeah, we've got some people, they're doing possibly weekly streams in there of just things to talk about.
Yeah, Mr. Fuck, I forgot his name. Hold on, I'm just looking it up.
Did you post the link yet to Discord? I still don't see it.
Oh yeah, no, it's up there. It's on my video feed.
Oh, it's
not
on
in the
your
chat.
Video feed. Yeah,
yeah.
We'll put it in the chat too if we can. But yeah, no rush. You're doing 10
Mr. Romanov has taken up the Party Room 2 for his 2 for Tuesdays streaming.
Right. Number 1 is for nerds, 2 is for the cool people, and number 3 and the admin channel is for the coolest of the cool. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's accurate, but that is a thing that we said.
So yeah, it was said. I didn't say it. I guess I did. I did. Yeah. So guys, join us on Discord if you're interested in joining in the shenanigans that goes on there. It is a fun channel. It is a fun Discord server. So far, it's been up for a week. There's about at least 10 people on almost all hours, and people talk. There's a lot of good conversations. Dovahkiin's on there. A couple other people are on there. Steroid Maximus is on there. Steroid Maximus is actually a very generous guy about certain things to do with video games. And so the Discord channel is basically, it is meant to be, it leans towards magic, but we do have things for video games and memes and all kinds of other good stuff. So it's also anti-censorship. Just try to be respectful. No matter what your political perspective is, just don't be an activistic asshole and fucking pick on people and do that kind of shit. We're cool, but whatever you guys want to talk about it. It's an open system. We'll really just rudeness and nastiness and doxing and weird shit we're not okay with. So follow Discord's terms of service basically, and you should be fine. But it is fun, and so far we're having a great time. I can't read it all because you guys are already so active. Like I go, oh boy, that's about like 15 minutes worth of reading. So I just skim it and then I look for my mentions and I try to get to those. But it is a fun place to hang out, and we do stream games and stuff in there. So, and we are going to do that Cards Against Humanity soon. Maybe this weekend. I don't know exactly what the plan is, but maybe this weekend would be fun.
Yeah, that would definitely be an entertaining video stream.
Yeah, no, that's not going to be. A lot of that stuff won't be streamed anywhere else. It'll just be on the Discord
No, it'll
channel.
just be on Discord.
So
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about everybody knowing about you and all this other stuff. It's just for fun hangouts. So
Only the important people
only the
know.
important people. Yeah, yeah. So all right, let's see. So let's talk about the gate, the Shadowgate project, which kind of went dark for a little bit. We kind of went under the radar for a little bit because when I announced it, I got some pushback from some people that didn't like the idea for whatever reason. My bird's being a loudmouth, by the way. He wants to. He might want to be in the video. I have to put him to sleep.
He's trying to open them gates.
Yeah, he's trying to open his own gates right now. He's trying to get actually he's trying to get me to open his cage so I can bring him out and hang out with him. But it's late,
Yeah,
dude.
cage
Go to
gate.
sleep. So the Shadowgate project, it's closed to new members, but it's only meant to be a small group right now. And you and I kind of like, it was my idea, but you were also the first guy to go, yeah, let's do this. And you started working on it too months ago before we announced it. The trial balloon of this idea to test the theory. And so for those of you who don't know, who didn't watch that video, the Shadowgate project is essentially those of us who work with the Shadow Current are going to be opening gates to the abyss to facilitate easier access to shadows by those in the world who are meant to experience them. Now, I got some pushback because some people are like, "Oh, you're having a savior complex. You're building a cult around, and people are, and you're gonna, what are you gonna do? You're gonna flick shadows on people. People aren't ready for this stuff." And and it's just, oh, fuck you all. And I had one guy like follow me around like on Facebook. Everywhere that I had a thing, he'd like make a dude
Yeah, I
and
did
start
see that.
messaging me privately to harass me. It was like obnoxious. But yeah, go ahead, Josh. What do you think?
Well, I've kept you pretty well in the loop with how everything's been going, but I set up the one. It's been 3 months ago now, almost, and just the little random things that I'm seeing here and there are letting me know that it's working. Whether it's conversations with people that I work with or things that show up in the news, people just randomly, 15, 20 teenagers showing up in the middle of a bank parking lot when the county only has 16,000 people in it. Stuff like that doesn't happen. So because I'm in such a rural area, I have a little bit better pulse of what's going on. So I notice those smaller things pretty quick.
Yeah. For me, if there's like a spike in things, it's like, ooh, there was only 5 murders this month instead of 2.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't even, and it's not always going to be that, by the way. That's just one of the easier things to spot. There's a lot of integration that goes along with that. So you'll see an uptick potentially in, I wouldn't say bad things, but we'll say things that are bad.
Yeah. I think it was the week after we opened the one. There was a case 3 or 4 miles from where the portal was open, where someone actually used a domestic disturbance to ambush officers. He knew that they were coming, and he went around behind them, and luckily none of them were seriously injured, and he wasn't seriously injured. But he had a history of this, and it's one of those things that like nobody had heard anything about this guy for 10, 12 years, and it had laid quiet. And then we opened the portal, and the next week, like all of this is going on. It's just, some people would say that it's not what we did, but it's one of those things that the timing is just so coincidental that
even if it wasn't what you did,
have to consider
you're noticing it. And a thing I wanted to mention is that, remember, magic we do, it's my theory, and some people are going to disagree, but it's my theory, and I'm having a lot of success with it, that magic isn't really about changing the world. It's about changing yourself and sending you into a universe that you want to experience. It's more As I'm working with Yog Sothoth more, I'm learning that magic is really a series of gates that we as a consciousness go through to experience the thing we want to experience. So it's not really a matter of changing the world. So if I'm opening the gate to the shadow people, am I changing people around me, or am I rather making it easier for people to go through a gateway of spiritual psychology and magic? Am I making it easier for me to travel through that gate and experience something special? Now, I know that for me personally, my gate, I made it too big. I mean, I made it the size of like 2 or 3 football fields in size. I mean, you saw the map picture of it, how big I made it.
Yeah.
And it's taken a little longer to get off the ground. Yours was, I think, a more reasonable size. I don't remember how big you said it was, but it's much more reasonable. It doesn't have to be big. Realistically, just big enough to be something, interesting. But I made it big as hell. And I noticed that for me, a lot of it's been personal stuff. So a lot of stuff in my immediate family, a lot of stuff in my life, but nothing really that I could say was community. And if it was, I live in a big, highly populated suburb where it's like I said, if there's a domestic violence thing, it doesn't make the news. In fact, nobody knows the news around here because it would be impossible to really keep track of, because it would be like, we don't know each other. I've never met my neighbors, even the ones that are, except for my in-laws that are like neighbors. I've never met anybody else. Don't know who lives around here. Couldn't care less. We don't talk. So if something happens, I probably wouldn't know it right away. However, my son's friends, because he lives, obviously he lives here, and their friends will be basically hanging out in the area, and they'll see the little Legion sigils that I've got everywhere. And they'll be like, what is that, some kind of Illuminati thing? And it's like funny to hear the kids, because that's kind of like where it starts, because kids notice that shit more than adults do. Like an adult will see it and be like, oh, some graffiti, they don't care. Kids see that and go, what is that? That is spooky and weird. What is that? Who's putting those up? Is that a new band? And for those of you who don't know, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So I don't know, did you ever get the big one? I don't know if you got the big one, but I have like sheets of these. Yeah.
I got the big one, and then I got the sheets like you just held up. And I'm that guy. I don't necessarily want you to be able to reach it easily. So like half of mine are on the back of street signs, on the just plain gray back of the street sign. But most people aren't going to get out of their car and
fuck with it.
Walk across the street to see it. But they'll notice every time they drive by that's there.
Yeah,
and they'll look at it. And I don't think any of those have come down that I've noticed so far, just because it requires effort for them to get out and actually inspect it.
I put 2 on the edge of a gate, and those 2 came down, but all the other ones, the same story. It requires effort, or it's just not in a central enough spot, so people see it and they don't care. It's true. And so the way that this works is people who observe these sigils, their attention, of course, like when you work with any sigil magic, when people see the sigil, they basically give energy to it. They give awareness to it and attention to it. That sigil is obviously it's designed around something similar to the all-seeing eye of providence, but it's like the shadow of that eye. It's the dark side of that eye. It's the eye that sees the unseen. It's the thing that we don't like to talk about. And so this eye that the people are seeing, they go, oh, what is that, Illuminati? What is this, something spooky? And they channel some of their energy into it, and they potentially are opening themselves up to seeing that stuff, because it's kind of like their subconscious is noticing it, and it's noticing it because they need to notice it, if that makes sense. So for people who are saying like, oh, you're inflicting shadows on people who aren't ready for it, if they're noticing it and they become part of that thing, then they're ready for it. Otherwise it wouldn't be happening. It still may destroy them, but they're ready for it. It's something they're doing. So like you said, we're not putting them, like, we're not going to like the movie theater and sticking them on the middle of the movie theater screen. We're basically putting them in, like, you'll be sitting there and be like, oh yeah, look at that, whatever that is, and you don't really care about it very much. So then as the gates get energized by this, then when they open, they're maintained by that. Instead of having to constantly open the gate every time you want to work with these spirits, it's like a permanent gate that will stay there until you take steps to take it down. And we've got some interesting things. We won't talk too much about all that, but we do have interesting things we're doing. And pretty much this month is the month that we are, as a group, trying to expand this. Hopefully we get more than just you and I doing another gate or two. Hopefully we got a couple people that are ready. There's at least 2 other people that said they'd be ready, so we'll give them space to do that. We'll bug them tomorrow, see how they did. Did they do their rituals?
Oh yeah.
And did it work? So
yeah, the one put up some pictures of his setup. So I have a feeling he's in for an interesting night.
Yeah. I'll have to look at those. I have to get around to. You know what I hate about that group is I don't get notifications from it. I have it set to notify me whenever somebody posts or something, and I don't see it. So like I have to go there on purpose and then scroll through, and I don't always have the time. So if I missed anything, tag me in it. Like if it seems like something I should have seen, feel free to tag me in it. I'll jump in. But yeah, so all of that's coming to fruition soon. So this is not for everybody. Those stickers are for sale on my Teespring, but it's not for everybody. Don't feel like buying those stickers. I make like 5 cents on a sheet of those stickers because I have to. Otherwise, if there's a problem with shipping or something, I have to pay for it. So unfortunately, the way they do things, I wanted to offer them at like 10 cents a sticker or something and like pretty much make it free for me. But they don't. They only have that for Teespring anyway. I'll have to look and see if I can find some other places that'll do it. But it doesn't have to be.
I think they're only like $1 for a sheet.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's
I think
not
that
bad.
includes shipping.
Bad.
Yeah, that's the thing is the shipping. The shipping pisses me off. It'll be like $1 for a sheet, and then it's like $6 to ship it. It's like fuck you. So I don't know. But again, this is for people who really want to do this. It's not. That's a not-for-profit thing that I'm doing with those. So if you want them, go ahead and get them. If you think they're just cool looking, go ahead and get them. But
Damiante and Furnace just asked if you need any ritual work with the shadow stickers before putting them up.
Yes and no. If you're part of the Shadowgate project group, you will be getting assigned to what we call veil cutters, and those are people whose job it is to open the gates. You'll be getting assigned to those people, and any stickers that you are going to put up or have already put up, you're going to be told, there's actually a document on there that tells people how to do it. You're going to be connecting the energy of each one of those stickers to a specific person and gate, so there's a connection there. And there's a way that we do it. It's very simple. Most people, if you have rudimentary magic skills, can do this. There's no heavy ritual for it. It's quite literally just you have to understand Legion's going to do a lot of this for you. You know, so long as you're properly using your ability to visualize and feel energy a little bit, do the little steps that go along with it, they'll do the rest. You know, they'll make sure it goes where it needs to go. It's literally just consciously and subconsciously connecting that sigil or that sticker. You don't have to buy anything, by the way. You can carve them in places, perfectly reasonable as well. You can draw them with marker, with chalk, whatever is reasonable and logical and perhaps safe and legal for you to do. You can do that, and it will still be fine. So it doesn't have to. The stickers are just convenient, and don't feel like you have to use stickers either. That's again, they're not for profit. If they were, they'd be about 3 times the price, and they're not going to be. So that's not what that's for. They're very easy though. It's very easy to do. So there's going to be, I don't know, there's several dozen of us total, and 3, 4, 5 of us doing the gates themselves. So we'll split up whoever's still active in probably the next week. Within the next week, we're going to have to, I guess you and I are going to have to go through and handpick at least some of this. Josh, you and I will have to go through and see who gets what. But we'll assign people to different veil cutters, and you just gotta work with your specific veil cutter to make sure that you're doing the right thing at the right time. There's a way to do it with some photographs that'll help things work, and it'll work pretty good. I have a good feeling about it. I do.
Yeah, I think the process that we've got will work pretty well, especially once we start linking everybody's stuff to it. That should get some pretty interesting results.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that.
So before we open the phone lines, and I don't know how long you're going to be with us, Josh, because I do know you have work tomorrow, but hopefully you'll stick with us for a little bit longer. Before we open the phone lines, go ahead.
I've got a little while yet.
Okay.
I haven't started getting the annoyed looks yet, so I'm good.
I mean, they're looks, but they're not annoyed looks yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he going to hurry up? Whatever.
I started talking about the tall man, and I got some looks. So.
Well, that was my fault. You can blame me for that. Nothing happened. It's all for show, guys. Nothing happened. It's not real. It's all fake. Is that why Josh is suddenly quiet with me? He's mad at me. Oh my God, no! You were a good boy. I know you were a good boy. You're a good man. But yeah, so if there's any questions that you guys have, for me, for Flesh Priest, or for Josh. If you haven't already asked a good one that maybe Flesh Priest took note of, put them in the comments now, in all caps, unless you intend on calling in. That's a separate issue as well. I don't even know if we're going to get a lot of call-ins tonight, but if we do, you know.
Or also tag one of us. Tag DH Thorne, tag Yepsen, Yepsen.
Yeah, preferably Yepsen, because it's like the screen's far away from me now, so I only see like super chats pop up because it's like a big colored block on my screen. Sometimes I see it over here. When you tag me, I sometimes see it, but sometimes it's like blah, blah, blah. So tag Yepsen. That's kind of his job right now. That's what he's getting his piece of the puzzle for. So give us a question for us, and go ahead. Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with this one first. I totally forgot to note who it came from. They asked pretty early in the stream, when do you think I'll be able to think for myself without the spirit's help? I hate that it's not me.
Oh, that sounds like Kevin. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. Do you want me to go into non-dualism land? Should I start the engine?
You know, I'm going to go the same direction, just in a slightly different take. So,
hit us with it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Josh. You go first, because otherwise, yeah, go ahead. You're wearing black too. You get to talk about non-duality too.
All right. So the simple answer that I get in trouble for is that you are thinking for yourself. You're just giving control over. You have the capability to stop and say, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm sitting here having a conversation with myself about wanting to think for myself. All you have to do is change the topic of the conversation." For some people, that's a little harder than others. But as you begin to work and become more self-aware, you begin to understand that you are in charge. You have the capacity to think whatever you want. And you start to, for me, I started relying less on the magic and the conversations with the spirits when they say, "Oh, you need to do it this way." I've heard EA, I've heard DH, and everybody else talk about how sometimes you have to tell them, "No, I'm not going to do that." That doesn't sound like a great idea. And I started talking to the spirits almost like they were allies instead of a demonolatry, a worship. It's their coworkers, their peers. And the more that I did that, the more I realized I was thinking for myself, and I'm coming to them with my own ideas. And it's like, "Hey, what about if I do this? How will this work? Can you explain this to me? Can you show me how this works as I do this? As I work through this ritual, if I do this way, can you tell me how that's going to work? Can you show me the process of how this works?" And through that, I've developed my own stuff that I've used to build my own rituals. So you're already there. You just have to realize that you are.
Yeah. Let's put another layer of non-duality on it. Let me get ready to lick it. Stick it to it.
Oh, great. Here we go.
Thoughts arise, but they're not thought. You don't think thoughts. Thoughts arise. A tree falling in the forest is like a thought. It happens. You experience it. You create the response to it. You create the experience of it in a way. But you don't make them happen. But they are you, because they're all you. Non-dualism says that all is one. But you are not a thinker of thoughts. The you that's asking the question is not the one thinking the thoughts. The thoughts are a chattering. The thoughts are a sequence of ideas that arise in the brain. And the brain then, as well as gobbledygook's going on, consciousness experiences these thoughts. And then ego reflects upon them, because ego thinks it is you. Ego reflects upon them. Consciousness then experiences that. So your thoughts are not, when you say, I want to think for myself, Like Josh just said, you already are, in a way, but your thoughts are also an illusion. So if we're talking about just thoughts, the word thoughts, and I know it's not probably what you meant, Kev, but we'll just start there because that's what we're talking about first, is thoughts themselves, right? We often think, if I change my thinking, I can change my behavior. If I didn't think this, it wouldn't happen, and blah, 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 blah. We think, because we're stupid freaking flesh creatures that don't realize we are the universe, that we are God, that we are divinity itself, we think that our thoughts guide our actions, but they don't. They really have nothing to do with it. The thing that you hear in your head as a thought is an after effect of a thing that's already been done. The thing that's already been done, your subconscious, the subconscious part of your mind has already originated the seed of the thought you think you thought. So in other words, there are scientific tests that they have where they can predict, not just predict, they know. It's not even a prediction like a statistical chance. They detect your right-hand side of your brain, which is your subconscious usually, although your subconscious is all over your brain, but they can detect your decision long before you make it consciously, long before your cerebral cortex assesses that, and they're not even sure that's where it's happening, to be honest with you, because they can take pieces of your cerebral cortex out and you're perfectly fine, honestly, weirdly enough. But if it's the posterior part of your cortex, then it fucks you up in some of those, but you still are able to be fine. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that by the time you're aware of a decision and have a thought about it, the decision's already been kind of like put on deck, and then your conscious brain, when I say conscious brain, I don't mean your consciousness, but your conscious brain assesses that subconscious impulse and then rationalizes it. It doesn't even choose to carry it out necessarily, although it is a bit of a filter. It rationalizes it, and then if that rationalization works, it will do it. So I'll give you an example. You reach into a pot with boiling water and a hot potato. You drop the hot potato without thinking about it because the signals go up your nervous system to your spinal column. Your spinal column says, oh, fuck you, that's hot. And then it drops it. You can actually override that. If you go into that going, this is going to fucking hurt, I'm not going to let myself drop it, you can override that. It's a very similar thing, except it is also happening up here, not just in your spinal column. So the thoughts you think you're having, the chatter in your head, is not actually the origin of thinking. That's actually the echo of a thing your brain's already done. So the experience of these thoughts themselves are not real. So that means when you say, how do I think for myself? It's kind of a bad question. Because even if you're talking about just deciding what to do with your life, you still are caught up in this idea that your brain is doing it, that your brain is deciding things. Your brain, this entire reality that you experience is an after image of what is. So by the time you even experience it, it's already happened. If you clap your hands, by the time you notice that clapping, it's already happened. And you experience it 0.02 milliseconds after the event. To put it another way, those of you who worked with like video stuff like we do, you'll notice that there's a way that you can adjust the latency of the audio with the video. So like if I clap my hands, it'll either be right on cue and it'll look like it's happening the same time as the sound, or it'll be a little bit delayed one way or the other.
What, so, like this?
Exactly like that. Exactly like that. I don't know how it came out for them, but for me, that was like a good second and a half later. So in reality, when you do something, your experience of that something is delayed by a measurable amount of time. Now, time does not exist. Time is a shadow. Time's an illusion. So the time between the event happening and now, which it's always now, this perceived time between those two things might as well be an eternity. So the past does not exist. Only what exists is the present moment. That's all. You can't go to the past. I challenge anyone. Have you ever known anybody that's been able to walk into the past or walk into the future? No. Have you ever been to the past? No, you have not. Have you ever been to the future? No, you have not. Will you ever go to the future? No, you will not. You will only ever be right now, right here, and now is eternal. So this idea that your thoughts, that you can think yourself, that spirits somehow have control over you is bogus. That's not how it works. You are literally an awareness that has, for whatever reason, that reason, whether we wanted to give it a mundane scientific quantum physics answer or a spiritual non-dualistic answer, The you that is experiencing this feels like a little old me that's trapped in a body. That's your ego. And so long as you're aware of only that ego and think that that's what you are, when I say that, I mean, there's no better word for it, even though it's not the right word. You don't think it, but it's what you believe. It's what you accept. So long as you accept that you're that little ego that's trapped in that little body and has no choice over your life or your future, so long as you're that, you will never be anything else. When you recognize, however, that everything that you are, everything that you really are, is something that's indescribable, something that is indefinable, because to define it, you'd have to cut it up and chop it into smaller pieces, but you can't chop it up. It's the whole, it's the all, it's the source. When you recognize that, when you start consciously living your life with this as your fundamental principle, your ego will still be there. Your ego doesn't go away. D.H. Thorne still fucking does what he does. He still takes a shit. He still stubs his toe and yells at people. He gets selfish. He does things that are not, saintly. However, I'm aware of D.H. Thorne as just a puppet that's part of the game. And I ride this puppet and I go, where's this going to go next? What am I going to experience next as this person? What is my now going to be next? And the difference is that I'm not guiding D.H. Thorne. D.H. Thorne's not being directed. D.H. Thorne exists in a multiverse of D.H. Thornes. There's an infinite number of my fat ass sitting here right now pontificating about what the universe is. And we're all experiencing this version of it, or at least I am, because that's the experience that consciousness has assigned for itself. It could be experiencing any one of the multiverse versions of that. You could be experiencing any one. So if you're dissatisfied and feel like you're not experiencing the universe through your own power, if you feel like spirits are controlling your reality, you're just playing an even deeper bullshit game on yourself. You're literally, it's bad enough to think you're an ego trapped in a body of circumstance. It's even worse to think that that body of circumstance is also under the thumb of a spiritual ruler. That's even worse. You're creating more layers of right-hand path control on top of you. So, I hope that answered your question.
And here's another question. The people were asking Josh, they want to know where they can find you, if you care to share your full name, and if you have a YouTube channel. I feel like the full name might be a little much.
Yeah.
So what's the question? I was reading, so what was the question?
Somebody asked, what's your name, and do you have a YouTube channel? I'm going to extend that to just like...
For Josh?
Do you have places where you post where you care if people follow you or anything, or is that not really?
For the most part, I'm on the Discord server. I'm in the Become the Maelstrom group. I don't really post on there very often. Most of the time, I just kind of sit back and watch everybody else talk and just enjoy their conversations.
Paranormal says they want the Social Security number, bro. You better put it up, or else he's gonna curse you. I know that name, Paranormal Somdi. He's gonna get your ass. Watch out! No,
hey, what are the 3 digits on the back of your credit card?
And the first
Which
couple
one?
too? Yeah. Which one? Yeah,
Ooh,
baby.
Flex.
The one I buy my guns with, or the ones I buy other guns with?
Yeah.
The one I vote with, or the one that I vote with? Yeah.
Beyonce doesn't know we're maxed out yet.
You probably want the one that's got money in the bank account. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'll get that one. That's for me.
Well, you're not really like a content creator, Josh. You're just kind of I don't know what I'd call you. You're certainly not a follower, but you're certainly a participant, but you're not a creator of content. You're kind of like like that cool guy that like stands on the side of the crowd and is like, I don't know what to say, dude, because you're not just an observer. Like, that's not a right assessment either.
I'm going to jump in and say no. I feel like on some level we're all content creators. It's just some of us don't post it out here for everybody else.
Non-dualism for dummies. Flesh Priest just did non-dualism for dummy. We're all content creators.
Yes, he did. No, I think that and me and you have talked about this before, DH. I have my own shadow. Like, for me to get on here and do a live stream is a huge deal. For me to post original content in a group is stuff that I have to work through. Because on some level, yes, I feel like I do have something I can contribute to the community, but I also have a lifetime of, oh no, you hit the wrong note. I'm going to throw a book at your head because you hit the wrong note.
Now, I'm going to interject a second. Isn't it interesting, based on what you and I both just said, although you said it in one level and dimension, I said it in another, we both basically said something similar, if not the same. Isn't that interesting in that we still practice perfection? We still practice change. We still practice integration of something that we already are. Why is this? What's going on here? What do you think we're really doing then? Are we actually changing the world for ourselves? What are we doing?
In my life, I know that I'm changing my experience. And what I've noticed is the deeper that I go, it's like I've started to build this sphere of influence around me. People who are just casually in my life, things begin to affect them. It's not that I'm doing a ritual for them. It's not that I'm trying to help them in any way. It's that I genuinely care about them as a human being, or as a fellow consciousness, and I want them to do well. And the next thing I know, like, their car broke down, and suddenly they have a car, or they needed a job and they hadn't had a job for months, and suddenly, like, they tell me about it, and I have this emotional reaction, and oh, suddenly they have a job. It's I don't know that we're really changing the world. I think that the deeper that people like you and I go into changing our inner world, it's going to manifest in the external world.
So maybe the right thing to say is that even what we're doing, I got accused when I started out. Someone who was a thaumaturgist came to me and said, "Do you do miracles or just self-help?" Just self-help. I'm like, well, isn't that what you're doing when you're trying to do miracles?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing, isn't it? Well, anyway, what I'm interjecting about, though, is that, so what we're really doing at the end of the day is we know, because either we know intellectually or in a gnosis sense that we are source on some level. Some people have a very vivid feeling of source. They've done DMT, they've experienced things a certain way for a certain reason. Some people just intellectually put two and two together and they intellectually get it, but they still haven't had the experience of source. People like me are somewhere in the middle because I've never done DMT. I haven't had the full vivid, complete, but I have had an out-of-body moment from that revelation and understanding. I've had my moment of Satori. So people have they're on different layers of this awareness of what they are spectrum. And what I'm finding is that everything is integration. Maybe the better word than manifestation is integration, maybe. Because what I think kind of happens is when we're doing magic, we're really integrating the idea that we are divinity enough to have an experience that we want to have. Remember, the word manifestation in the dictionary, the synonyms are experience, not cause and effect oriented. So in other words, the word manifestation, if you look it up, doesn't mean to cause something. It means to maybe cause the experience of, but the word experience is what's happening, not the event, not causing a thing or an event to happen. So when we're manifesting in magic, what are we really doing? We're experiencing. So let's take the word manifest, exchange it with experience. What are we experiencing when we manifest something? We're experiencing the integration of our divinity with our experience itself. That integration of those two things together, as you bring all of the Trinity of Self together, as you bring your full awareness together, for at least a moment in magic ritual, you know you're God, and you know that you've decided to shift to a reality that you've chosen to experience. I did one recently, and E.A. Quetting and I were talking about it. Me and Paula were talking, me and some friends, Paul and some other people, nobody knows, just private friends of mine. We're talking about things, and it's pretty crazy because I did this thing, and for a few days I was totally out of my gourd. And someone said it's almost like you it's almost like you were out of focus. And I'm like, I think I was. I think my awareness, I was transitioning from one reality stream to another. My consciousness said, you know what, I'm sick of the way this one's going, or I'm ready to move to another one. I'm ready to have the experience of changing that big of a picture. And so I moved a little bit to the side, and I felt like, you guys saw the video, you saw how out of it I was. I felt like to my left was like an infinite number of me going that way and an infinite number of me going that way, and I was trying to figure out which one I was, and it's a weird feeling when you get there, and it happens to people from time. You get like really dissociative a little bit.
Yep.
So what did I do? I didn't really change anything. I integrated something. Something got integrated, and that changed the path that my manifestation experience was going to have, I think. And I remember when I did it, I remember doing it, and I felt so confident that I had shifted to another world, and so confident that I had done the thing. It was a very simple, it wasn't even a ritual. It was just, I just got caught in the moment, went astral, decided, and then landed and went, that's what it is now. And I had a hot dog. And I said, nope, I'm not even going to worry about it anymore. Not even going to think about it. And it's already been, I already see a change. I feel a change. I see it and I feel it. And I don't know who amongst you came with me. Maybe nobody did. Maybe you're all new people as far as I'm concerned, like Rick and Morty, where they leave the one world where everybody died to the Cronenbergs, whatever they were. And then, they went to the universe just like the one they left, and they buried themselves because they blew up. I'm wondering, is that my same wife? Did she come with me, or is she going to be in that world that I left and suffer that thing that I thought I saw coming? So what's going to happen now? So, hi guys, I'm from the Berenstain Bears universe. I don't know which one you're from, but that's the one I'm from. Or is it Berenstein? I can't remember anymore.
Yes. Yeah, my fiance will actually laugh at me every once in a while. I'll just look at her, and where you posted that video where you were kind of out of it, I experienced something similar when I'm getting ready to go through a big shift, and I'll tell her, like, watch me over the next couple of days, just kind of make sure that I don't lose my mind, snap me out of it if I need to. And she really has been amazing. She kind of supports me and lets me run and takes over the house for those couple of days while I dive in and focus on shifting. And you're right, that experience when you get to that level is, I texted you one night, and there's no real way to describe it other than it's all. And I wish that I could explain it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a fairly large vocabulary, and I don't have words to describe it.
Yeah, there's no words. It's just like you can't describe the color blue well enough for people to see it. I could say Yepson's screen, and you go, oh yeah, bluish, yeah, I get it. But it's still not, I still can't tell you what that looks like. I have no idea what that looks like. So let's go back to, do we have any questions from the peanut gallery? Did anybody ask any big questions for
I saw a couple interesting ones on there from somebody I've never seen before. He may be gone by now.
I may not have caught all of them. I'm juggling a few things over here. I do have one lined up from Zulok Turius? I'm sure you'll correct me on how I said that.
I am familiar with Zulok. Do me a favor. Let's
Zulok.
put up the Skype info for the call-in section, and then we'll do a couple of these questions while we get our people lined up for the call. So for those of you who've been waiting for this moment, who want to call in tonight, here is your chance. This info that's on there right now, send a message to whatever he said. Search for Flesh Priest on Skype, and we will be taking your call. Do we want to try the Discord version of this tonight too, or no? What do you want to do? We didn't test it, but
I personally do not have my shit set up to do that tonight. But if you have something on your end, then we can certainly try it. I'll try to get it working. I know how. I'll try to get it working for the next week. We can definitely do Discord call-ins.
Luciferius, were you being rude to somebody? Because if you were paying attention, that's mainly my stipulation. I don't have total control over everything that gets deleted. But if you were being rude to somebody, if you were starting shit with somebody, if you were arguing with somebody, it might have got deleted for that reason. We do ask for people to be polite to one another here, but you can express whatever beliefs you have here. That's usually not, I can't imagine someone taking it down unless you were being nasty. So if it wasn't, and it was not the right, or if you were spamming and just being rude like that, that would be why. So when we say free speech zone, that doesn't mean you are free of consequence for the things you say. It just simply means that we don't say you can't talk about that here. We just simply mean, please be polite to one another. There are repercussions to what you fucking say. So if that's not what happened, I apologize, but I don't know what happened.
I didn't see his comment get deleted. Somebody else was spamming and, little timeout, just also spamming, like, okay, just not too much now, guys. Super chat from Eric Coetting with that 666. He says, just sending love, and we're going to send love right back to you, brother.
Freaking love you tonight, brother. If you're always invited.
You're the fucking man.
In fact, we'll see if we can get everybody on soon, maybe next week or the week after, but I'd like to get everybody on again when they want to. Obviously, it's not up to me. When we feel like we can do it, let's do it, because he and I had a really good talk last night. He actually helped me a lot because I was still feeling dissociated, and he comes along and has a nice talk with me last night, and it was just good to have. It was good to have. So yeah, but just to finish that, Luciferius, if you can point out when people, but at the same time, I saw you make a comment about the person's name, so I don't know what happened. I was actually going to say we don't mind if Christians join and they're polite and respectful. I really don't give a shit. There are actually Christian occultists who believe in all the things that we believe, but they just happen to work with Yeshua and Yahweh and all that. Don't got a problem with it. If I did, then I'd be on the right-hand path and be a little bitch about it. But it's not me. I'm actually kind of hoping that we get some of those kinds of people in here, because that's an interesting conversation that can be had. So I don't know if there's more to it than that. Again, I'm not a hawk on the chat. That's why I have all these blue names here. So I hope that puts it to bed, is all I'm saying. I want to put it to bed, because when I see that, I feel like the manager that owns the store coming out here and people arguing, I go, what the fuck happened? So just so you know. Yeah. So anyway, guys, so let's go with yeah, go ahead.
Jacob Dow with the 666 says, hey guys.
Fuck yeah, thank you,
Fucking horns back to you. Okay, I'm gonna put Zulark's question up really quick and step out right before we start taking calls. Everybody go ahead and send me a message on Skype if you want to get in tonight. Zulak asks, what is the Eye of Legion doing to my third eye? Is it healing it, do you think? He was actually commenting earlier about whenever he looks at the Eye of Legion, he senses a cold presence or a cold feeling coming off of it.
Okay, all right.
We'll be
Josh,
right back.
Since you are the resident other guy that works with Legion, what do you think about that question? What is your first reaction? If he came to you with that question, how would you respond if you were the teacher in that moment? Are you still there, Josh?
I'm here. My audio is jacked up, I think.
Did you catch the question?
I just disconnected from my headphones, and you popped back up.
Oh,
What was the question?
You might have missed the question. So the question was basically, he said something effective. When I look at Legion's sigil, I feel, does it open or heal the third eye? What effect does it have on the third eye? I think that was the gist of the question. That's where I was going to go with it. What do you say about that?
I didn't really notice a huge difference, but everything that I had been doing up to that point, I had already fairly well integrated my chakra system, and I use a breathing technique that I'll actually shuttle energy through my body nonstop. So for me, I didn't really notice a difference. I think that it could help as far as opening it and integrating what that capacity is, but I didn't personally notice anything.
I'm going to say that the connection to the third eye is that of all of the spirits that I've worked with, the ones that seem to have the most likely chance of having a miraculous evocational experience where you actually see them somehow are shadow people. And they tend to appear first in the fringes of your vision. Something about them, either because it's not really that they're appearing in the real world. That is to say, I don't know how easy or hard it would be to catch them on camera. I've seen closed circuit video of things that could be them. Doesn't really look like them, but could be. But I will say that of all the spirits that I've worked with, they're the ones that are more likely to appear in a place that really looks real. Even if you have aphantasia, like I have it on a spectrum, I have a little of that. Like I don't visualize as well as other people do. I can do it, but it's not as good. And some people don't have it at all. People will still see them even if they can't visualize. And that's an interesting thing. And it will usually appear on the periphery of your vision. Now, I think it was Lakota, the guy who did, he was on the original Art Bell conversation about this. I forget if it's Lakota or not. But Thunder Strikes was the guy. And he talked about it, saying that it's because humans actually have more than just the 2 eyes or 3. It's actually, we have like 5 or something like that. So we have the 2, the 1, and then we have 2 that are actually on the sides of our head. And they're spiritual eyes, those other 3 that we don't see. And this is why you see them on a peripheral. Now, I don't know. You know, that's kind of a superstitious metaphor that means something for people that are in that culture. To me, it might mean something. I don't know. But I would say that, do they work with the third eye? I mean, any spiritual work helps with the third eye because you're trying to see something that physically is maybe not there, but is there on a spiritual level. So what are you seeing when you see them, right? So yeah, you know, it could definitely have an influence on your ability to visualize it with your third eye. But do they specifically, is Legion's sigil related to the third eye? No, not in the classical sense at all, not really. Legion's sigil is in awareness, which is related to the third eye, of course. But your awareness, your total awareness, is actually in the heart. That's where everything filters through the heart. You know, all of your other senses converge, all of your other energies. Your heart is really your center, and your heart is what has the reflection of the ego. The ego sits in the heart chakra, and that's where the ego really is. Okay, and people don't like to hear that because they think the heart's supposed to be pure and good and wonderful. Well, no, that's where the ego would go if it wants to feel like it's in charge. Is the heart chakra, right? Not in your head, not in your stomach, not in your balls. It's going to be in your heart chakra. So that's where your ego tends to set itself up as the fake king, the jester king that acts like it's the king but really isn't. And the true you is kind of behind all that, experiencing all that. So your heart is the center of what you are. So your heart is what's really the thing that perceives everything. And it will filter it through these different sense chakra, if you will. If we're going to use the chakra model, your root chakra is your sense of being, of existing. It's a connection to what is. It's an external, internal thing. It's a firm thing. It's like a brick. Your sacral chakra is what you feel with the material part of your experience. It's your lusts, and it's your physical enjoyment, and what it feels like to get punched and to eat a cookie. That all happens through the sacral. Your solar plexus is an expressive chakra. It's an emissive one. It's the one that does things. So the sacral is receptive. The solar plexus is emissive. The root is stationary. It's bang. This is what is. This is what I am. Bam. This is what it's not in motion. This is my connection to what is. Sacral is what it feels like. Solar plexus is how you do it. Heart is what you feel about it. Throat is what you express about it. Third eye is what you experience in the astral, the forms that you use to label the stuff that's material. And the crown is actually the other side of the root and reverse. They're actually, I believe, the same. I know that there's 2 external ones that people say go further, but to me, the root and the crown are basically the same. It's just the inverse side of it's the same chakra. So the crown is connected to that astral experience, and they all come in through your body, and you experience them through the heart. So when you're opening your third eye, what you're doing is you're making your heart consciousness aware of spiritual experiences. The crown is what receives them. The third eye is what translates and helps you process them. Your heart is what experiences them, though. So when you're opening your third eye, you may see shadows more. You may see anything more. Shadows specifically, I would say integrated shadows will help you see very clearly. Non-integrated shadows will blind you. So that's the complete answer, the best I would put on it. That's the best I can do. So do we have any call-ins yet, Flesh Priest?
Not at the moment,
What's wrong
no.
with you people? What's wrong with you people? It's part of the title.
Just as a note too, because in the past I told some people like, hey, didn't get to you this week, try to get to you next time. We're not doing that, we decided. It will get way too messy, so we're just going to take the night that it's happening, first come, first serve. So if I told you something like that before, go ahead and send me a message tonight if you want to get on.
Kevin, just so you know, this stuff is always archived. It's on the YouTube channel if you're enjoying it or you want to go through it again. Or if you're hating it and you want to find something to slam people with. All of this is archived, including the chat, although it can take a day or two for the chat to show up again. I'm not sure why that is. So I've seen it usually within 24 hours, the chat shows back up. You should be able to scroll through it when the video is over. Just don't close the window and just scroll through it and read it if you want to do it that way. If you want to follow the chat that way, you can do that for sure. And we don't quite have enough people in the chat yet to make it on slow mode, but at some point that will have to happen probably.
Yeah, I think it's YouTube having to process the video or something before the comment section and live chat replay is enabled, because I've noticed that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind it too much because sometimes, like, I've tried to read through and find out, like, someone I was replying to because there was, like, some drama and I wanted to see who was causing it, and I want to just go back over and watch it. And it's a pain in the butt. It never syncs right, and I don't know who is really trying to talk to who sometimes. So don't forget, everything I say is delayed by about 30 seconds. Like, everything that we're doing is about 30 seconds behind what's actually showing up for you guys. So we'll say something and 30 seconds later and you respond.
And people are not always necessarily watching live too, because I've seen a couple times where somebody comments like, oh, fuck yeah, good point, on something we talked about like 5 minutes ago. I'm like, what the fuck, am I a time traveler?
Yeah, they just started watching it and they're commenting now. Yeah, I've seen that too. So hopefully that helps you guys. So anyway, this is supposed to be a live call-in show. Let's say anybody who's had experiences with anything magical can call in, but preferably we're talking about shadow people tonight is what we're kind of focused on. But it's open to anything. So if you want to call in, please do. Look up Flesh Priest, give him a message on Skype, and
your video will not be broadcast.
Oh yeah, your video
you only have to worry about your voice.
It's all going to be audio. So if you want to call in and embarrass yourself, I mean, be treated like royalty, that will be cool. And we should really start using the Discord channel for this too. We really should.
Yeah, like I said, I can get it working, just not something I can do before the stream ends tonight.
You know what? I don't know if this is going to work. I'm in party room 2 right now. So for those of you, let me see.
You know what? You can make it work. Just add right now. Actually, fuck, I could make it work too. Fuck, well, I'm not thinking with OBS hard enough.
Part of the problem is if we both jump into party room 2, like, you'd have to mute yourself because otherwise you're going to echo like a motherfucker. And I'm not broadcasting at the moment, so it's fine. If you guys are on Discord, yeah, I guess nobody's going to call in tonight. We'll give it like 5 more minutes, and if not, we'll let's just go to some other questions while we're waiting. Oh, I feel let down. Nobody wants to call me tonight. Oh, I feel so sad.
Hey, a lot, like I said, about content creation. We all create content, but we don't all throw it out there.
I blame Josh. It's really Josh's fault.
Ooh, hey, only one of us can throw him under the bus tonight. I already did it because of the bang.
We did, didn't we? We did.
Yeah. I couldn't hear you right there, Josh.
Yeah, he's been
This
having some
isn't-
audio problems. He might have to leave. Yeah, because he was saying like his audio disconnected. It might have. So I'm gonna leave party room 2. If anybody jumps in there, I might jump back in. But I'm
Can
out
you
of
hear
there.
me now?
We hear
Yep,
you now.
there you are.
There we go. All right. Yeah. I think when my headphone battery died on the one side, so I had to switch it over.
Oh shit.
We've been talking.
Yeah, that would do
long.
it.
Yeah,
So-
3 hours, something like that.
So give me a moment, and if any of you have any questions, go ahead and tag Yepsen, Yepsen, in the chat, or try to put it in all bold too. Jacob Dow says Josh's fault. He's just kidding about that.
Damn it, Josh. You know, when you're not here, we're blaming everything on you from now on. That's what we're gonna do.
I'm good with that.
Especially when you're not here. We had a rule at my old job, the one I had before this, was that when everything went wrong, you blame the guy that was off that day, and it was always their fault.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, Luciferius is right. There's a full moon tonight, so that's exciting, and it's probably a lot of people are doing rituals, and there's probably some people doing I don't know, a lot of stuff. There's probably a lot of people doing streams tonight. I bet you if we looked on YouTube, there's probably a bunch of other people streaming tonight too. I know you said I
Oh,
haven't
you
seen
know
Behemoth
what?
X,
It's that dastardly Behemoth X
Damn
deciding
him.
to premiere a video at the same time we're streaming.
If it wasn't
Oh,
for
we're
his,
gonna have to get in a magical war with him.
if it wasn't, yes, we will have to. All right, everyone. Whoever is here now, drop what you're doing, go to his channel, and leave a mean-spirited comment, and then say you love him because Behemoth X is awesome, and we don't want to actually piss him off. We want to make him happy.
Yeah, no, that guy's fucking great. Everybody who's here, if you're not subscribed to Behemoth X, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And EA Coetting, unless you got some problems, go to EA Coetting's channel too. Don't forget, most of you guys, I check the new analytics tab that they have that lets you see what videos people are watching before they come here, and I see like it's all like the same 3 or 4 people that we're all hanging out with. So I find that really interesting. People were like in the same club, and like so it's like we need to start branching out and getting people that are interested in other communities a little bit to follow and follow what we do here, so that it's not just we're not just like circle jerking each other's freaking fans. We got to make sure everybody gets into it.
So
I know
I'm
that's
going
something
to-
you're into, dude. You don't have to. I'm
No
just-
matter with that.
So I'm gonna pop in really quick. A quick question, Paranormal SOMD. Have you had experiences with the man with the top hat? That was directed at me. I don't know if that was for me, in which case the answer is no. But that might have been to you guys. Sorry, really quick before you answer that though. Dice Controller, if you want to call in, go ahead and go on Skype and search for Flesh Priest and send me a message.
Yeah, I think Dice was
And
on last
I
week,
do-
wasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
I think he was.
I
yeah.
actually do have one person waiting as soon as we want to
Oh, fuck
as
yeah.
well.
All right. Yeah, I think so. Let's touch that question real quick. So the Hat Man is. So I know that. I know for one person recently has been talking about him was VK. I also know Necro Nikki talks about him from time to time on her various outlets that she talks about spirituality on. VK recently talked about him. I don't know whether we're seeing the same creature or not, the same spirit or not. I really don't know. I watched that video and I was like, not really what I've got going on. But yes, the Hat Man is part of the Shadow Current for sure, the one that I work with anyway, and it is featured in the Shadownomicon if you're interested. To say too much more would have to be like by the book, but the Hat Man is just one incarnation of Shadow people. And Josh, have you worked with the Hat Man yet?
I have. I worked with him right after I worked with Ronzio, and that was a very interesting few weeks at work. One of the things that I work on is culture change, and suddenly everybody forgot everything that we had learned over the last several years, and nobody wanted to do what we were supposed to do, and magically, I say that lightly here, but people wanted to start conspiracy theories and rumors at work, and this guy is going to go straight from the floor to being the supervisor next week, and skip over 3 years of development that he's supposed to have before he goes there. But it was a very interesting time trying to learn how to temper my responses when people wanted to start that stuff, and actually go into why I felt like I needed to respond that way.
Yeah, there's a lot. So the Hat Man in Shadownomicon was identified as having a lot to do with things like racism, false accusation. Once upon a time, it would have been the spirit that inspired the witch trials and the witch hunts in communities, where it would have been a lot of accusations of this and that. It definitely uses the sanctimonious bullshit of every generation against itself. It's almost always relevant in, like, you'll have the pearl-clutching, neo-puritanical type people saying, oh, you shouldn't talk like that. And it creates cancel culture, for example. The Hat Man is very involved with cancel culture, for example, where 30 years ago you said something that was today unacceptable, and now you can't be a public figure anymore. So very much a part of that mentality of humanity. And it shows up everywhere, because it's actually, of all of the things that humanity seems to be dealing with in the last generations or so, it's very pivotal. And it's very pivotal. And I think it stands out because he's also, of all of the shadow people, he's the most likely to appear different to what shadow people normally look like to most people. Like, a lot of the artistry I did for the other shadows is how I've seen them. I don't know if you've actually seen them, or if they were just a way for me to communicate what they do better through visual, artifact. But yes, of all of them, the way they look, the Hat Man is the one that will be different more than the other ones. So the other ones, even the ones that I claim look this way in my book, they may still look like just a shadow in your room. The Hat Man, though, will appear to have what looks like a hat. It is a unique tendency. I don't know if you've seen him, Josh, but I know you've worked with him. I don't know what your experiences that way are, but just to bring that part up. In fact, the first one I saw specifically as a shadow was a stranger in a field with a hat looking at me. I knew it wasn't a person. And so
yeah, I with the Hat Man, I have a room in my shed where I do my rituals that is white. And when I do these rituals with the shadows, I'll hang my tapestry up at the top just above my head level, and then my shadow actually falls underneath it. And the Legion's candle is behind me, so my shadow is cast on that wall directly below Legion's sigil. And when I was working with the Hat Man, I was focusing on the gate that I had opened, and obviously the darkness and the psychological stuff starts to happen. And I sat there and I watched my shadow grow a hat. And then it went back, and then the hat came back, and I was like, oh, all right, you're here. Let's get to work. But that was one of the more entertaining times that I've seen him. The other ones have been the prototypical, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I kind of wake up out of a dream, and you're just like, oh, hi, got anything for me? Nope. Okay, I'm going back to sleep. Sometimes he has something to say, sometimes he doesn't. But the fun one was actually in ritual when my shadow started moving.
Right. No, and that happens. I mean, it's like the 3 or 4 o'clock witching hour, which is really the better time to call it. You'll be sitting there, like, I'll be writing, and I'll see little things peeking around the corners of stuff, and it's in my mind's eye, but I feel like I really saw it, and I'll be like, what the fuck? Oh, no, got to remember what it is. It's not really there. So, all right, so that's pretty cool. So, Flesh Priest, I don't know if you're busy at the moment, but when you are ready, let's bring on the. Oh, I see we got a super chat too, so we'll address that and then bring in the next person.
Thank you. Vince Cashmere says, "Good to see you all."
Thank you,
Fucking
Vince.
good to see you, Vince.
Thank you, Vince.
Fucking
That's awesome.
horns up to you.
Vince is awesome. I like Vince a lot.
So, you were ready for a call-in, right?
Is Josh ready?
Sure.
You ready? You got it all strapped up? You ready to go? Everything taped where it needs to be taped?
All right, but I don't see you doing the summoning. We're summoning.
Come to me. Come to us. All right, who is it?
I'll let them introduce themselves. They are a frequent caller here.
Oh, a frequent caller.
Frequent caller and viewer.
I heard
Hello.
a voice.
You know this voice?
Who this?
It's me.
Who me?
It is the great and glorious Dia Phoenix.
Hi, Dia. What's up? How you doing? I had a feeling it was you. What's up, Dia?
Well, I wasn't gonna call because I've been discombobulated. Because I just moved. When we moved here, we could only get a 1-bedroom, and there was a 2-bedroom that I was looking at. Anyway, so yes, this is like day 2 in the new apartment. So I was just gonna listen and, participate in the chat. But yeah, so what do I want to talk about? I was wondering if you would mind if I talked about that vision that I had.
I sort of forget, but go ahead. Go ahead. Talk about whatever you want that's of a spiritual or magical or whatever nature. Go right ahead.
Okay, so you remember that painting you did in the last
yes.
live stream?
Yeah,
yes.
the Yog Sothoth Oz, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it reminded me of the vision that I messaged you about on Facebook.
Okay. Yep, I sort of remember that. Yeah, I get a lot of the messages, but I do read them. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I do understand. Yeah, and I don't know if you remember this, but when he spoke to me, he used your voice.
Oh, that's different. Why did he do that? Oh, I hope it wasn't just.
No, I know. I did a bunch of research and meditated, and I really think it was Legion.
Okay, all right. It's possible. I mean, Legion has a cacophony of voices, or sometimes just one whispering. Usually, it's like a cacophony of whispers. So, but go on.
So, well, you know how I've been wanting to participate in the Shadowgate project, and I am, but I'm like, I've been wanting to get your books, which I haven't been able to at this point because other things are going on.
Sure.
In my life, and so like, I'm disappointed that I don't have those books. But the funny part was, or the odd part was, because I've worked with Belial.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep. A little bit.
In 2019, I dedicated the whole year to working with Belial. So I'm not used to this.
And you're still here. You're still walking.
Yeah, that's impressive in itself.
Yeah. I have gone through some changes. But they are positive changes. So all in all, I mean, sometimes in the moment you're like, what the fuck? I'm sorry, did I cuss? I shouldn't cuss.
You can curse all you want, God fucking damn it. Go ahead.
Right, okay. But you know what I mean? You have those moments where you're like, I don't see the purpose of this thing. But then the purpose is like, oh, that's why that had to happen.
Sure, yeah.
So that's Belial.
Belial is very much about shadow work too, in a way. I mean, all these spirits will help you with shadow work. Let's be brutally honest.
Absolutely, but that's what like surprised me about what was said to me in this vision, because I was told to relax. So the thing about that is I think that I just need to and I have been. Just jump in and participate and contribute in however I can, and not worry about the, certain things like, oh, well, I have to have this book or I have to do this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I read the instructions for the Shadowgate thing, and I've been following those instructions, which is cool. I mean, you put the PDF right in the group, so
Yeah.
I totally had access. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. And then also I wanted to talk about some weird stuff that I do wonder if you've noticed. So, like, okay, the basic symbol for Legion is the eye and the triangle.
Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, that goes all the way back. That is an ancient symbol. Like, I don't know.
I've sort of called it the shadowy version of the Eye of Providence. Yeah. It does go back all the way. And you have many different gods would have used an eye. Yeah.
Well, I'm a history nerd.
You might even be more of a history nerd than me, and I'm a pretty big history nerd. But go on.
That's pretty cool. So then, do you know about the? It's like cobalt blue. It's a pyramid that has an eye in it. It's small, like you could hold it in your hand. It's not a giant one, but I mean, it also is like I'm just seeing echoes. Like in my mind, I'm seeing like all of the different, like every History Channel thing I've watched, everything I've read about it. This seems to be pretty big. And I don't think it's just a version of the Eye of Providence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it could be. The symbol is a very old symbol in general, like we said, and it's usually manifested as an eye. When we talk about the Eye of Providence, anyways, an eye with the radiance of basically the sun, right? We're talking about the sun is what we're often talking about. In most cultures, the sun was the eye of God. Basically, it was the eye of Ra. It was Ra. It was the sun god and all that stuff. So that is part of it. There's also the black sun. That's another occult concept, which is perhaps related. But for me, it was a case of there was a sigil that I had channeled from him that I don't share, that's never come out, and it's not going to come out. It was meant for me to contemplate, and then at some point, the better one was to create the vision of a triangular gate with an eye behind it, and then I recognized the connection to the inversion of the Eye of Providence was how I saw it in my own thinking. That doesn't mean that it's not something extra too. Maybe it is meant to invoke in the historically minded person something extra, because we can say that this being is sort of timeless. It's been with us since the beginning, like a lot of archetypal spirits would have been, because it represents things that people have collectively shoehorned into the abyss since the first models of humans started thinking. So it's probably been there a long time, collecting itself, and it would easily be the same thing as the Eye of Providence, the all-seeing eye of Supreme Self, but the inversion of it, the shadowy side of it, the side that is somehow still not aware, right? It's like it's aware of things, but it's aware of the things we're not aware of, maybe is the better way to put it.
Right, that makes sense. Well, and it's interesting that you put it that way too, because while you were talking, what it made me think of was the exoteric and the esoteric. So the exoteric is the outward symbolism, and we could call it PR or propaganda, the outward stuff. So the Eye of Providence is the outward. And I think the esoteric, which, like you said, sees the things that we don't see.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really interesting. And also, like, I don't know if you know this, but Albert Pike, who was a famous Mason.
Yep, I'm familiar with his name, and that he was a Mason, but not much else. So go on.
Oh, he was Luciferian.
Okay.
And he was openly Luciferian, and he included that Luciferian practices in the Masonic rites that he practiced and published about. So yeah, that just made me think about all that stuff. So I guess it's just like a meditation where you start seeing connections that you don't normally see. So I guess that's what I'm experiencing, seeing those connections.
And I'd say they're meaningful. I would start investigating, not so much the so in metaphysics, in the occult, in these kinds of things, there's different layers of truth. Sometimes they're personal truths, sometimes they're external truths. Like you said, there's exoteric, esoteric. There's these different kinds of teric, right? So there's also this idea that some truths are meant to be objective. So we say, oh, that eye of Legion is a lot like this, and so therefore maybe there's a connection. Or maybe the reason you're seeing a connection is because something associated with that other symbol is telling you to come talk to it. It could be that too. So there could be a personal reason why you're seeing a connection there. It might be important for you to maybe research it, or maybe focus on that old form and see if what relationship you do find. Maybe it's not Legion at all. Maybe it has nothing to do with Legion, but maybe that's that spirit's way of saying, hey, look at me for a little bit, or that idea's way of getting your attention. So that would be my advice for it. Maybe would try that and see if that helps.
Okay. I will do that.
All right. Thanks, Dia, for calling. I appreciate you a lot, and let's call in anytime. We love having you. If you're all set, Flesh Priest, let's say our goodbyes. Unless Josh, do you want to address anything that was said by Dia? I'm sorry, I forgot you're here. You're so quiet. You're in black.
No, that's one of those where I just kind of sit back and listen, and I've really only worked with magic for a couple years at this point. So as far as the history of everything, I'm not as well read as many people. I focused on the process just because that's how my brain works. And now I'm trying to catch up on all the history. So when that stuff happens, I just kind of sit back and listen and soak it up.
You and I are a lot alike like that. I like process versus history. I'm much more into how does this work, not who thought of it. Like when I go to science class, I didn't care who Einstein was. I wanted to know what he figured out. That was more interesting to me. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Have a great one, Dia.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for calling.
Oh.
She's like, oh, goodbye. You're like, click.
Whoops.
Jerk.
Cut her off a little early.
Nice person. You just click them off. Just kidding.
I'm a jackass.
We
thought it was all done. Johannes Josef von Engelstadt actually sent a sticker earlier. I didn't want to address it in the middle of the call. Yeah, I sent a sticker, and now also a super chat says, D.H. Thorne, how do you associate candle colors with goetic spirits?
Ooh.
Light blue for Malthus, for example.
Ooh, yeah, blue or orange, actually. Malthus likes orange, too. The easiest way, look it up on the internet and just decide if you like what you see. That's the brutal, honest truth. That's what most people do. I mean, and why do we do it? What does each color represent? What does each color mean to you? And what is that spirit? So when we're talking about candle colors, we're often talking about also chakra colors and things. So different spirits resonate with different ideas more than others. And some are very general and some are very simple and singular. And if you identify what feature of reality, what archetype and what things that spirit is talking about, what their, what their planetary association is, type of deal, you can figure out what colors and so on that they're with. So to put it another way, if we're going to go with the chakra system, then Malphas is very much about the throat. It's about communication. So is blue. It's very much about things that are felt, because you can kind of destroy people's feelings and things like that with it. But really the color is like also what are you trying to invoke in that ritual too. Candle color in ritual, if you look up and you have a good idea of what candle colors represent for each color, assuming you're not colorblind and don't have some other experience of color than other people, and even if you aren't, you probably still do, different colors resonate with different concepts and emotions and ideas, and different planets, because those planets are associated with concepts, ideas, and so on. So if you play with that enough, you get a pretty good idea of what candles mean to most people. And then you select a candle that represents the energy of the thing you're trying to contact or what you're trying to work with. So like King Paimon, very much an orange candle, red candle, yellow candle, all of those kind of materialistic candles, but also would work very well with the throat or the third eye, because he can teach you a lot about how to communicate and how to experience and how to take things in. So he's one of those spirits that most of the colors would work for. So why do we use certain colors more than others? I usually use black or red for most of my spiritual work. It's usually black or red, because black to me is like it's like a good stand-in. You could use white too. There's nothing wrong with it. Remember, it's just a color. Like, you can't get it wrong. It's really just, I think someone already said, do what your intuition tells you, and they're not wrong. But if I was going to say how do others associate with it, I will tell you the Goetia doesn't tell you what candle colors to use. All of the original sources of these things don't talk about candle colors. In fact, the originals don't even have sigils or anything. This whole idea that they've got a tarot card and a number and a this and a that, that's all modern Madame Blavatsky style, later esoteric stuff that's come later. It's kind of like there's a lot of occultists out there that if you pay them for a reading, their idea of a reading is just to throw some facts at you like a fortune cookie. Like, here's your lucky numbers, here's this, here's that. Other people's idea of a reading is more like what a real sage or a seer would do, and they will sit and they will read your energy and tell you what you're about and talk to you about that. So there's different kinds of reading, there's different ideas, and just like that, and I'm kind of going all over the place, but I hope I'm framing the answer properly so that you understand why it's not just a case of what is the correct candle color or why do I pick it. For me, it has everything to do with what am I trying to invoke when working with both the spirit and the ritual. So if I call upon, say, Malphas, and I want Malphas to show me something, like I want him to, as a protector, I want him to have me see my enemies before they act, then I might use a blue and indigo blue candle for my third eye. Or I might use orange or something that might, so I can feel it vividly. I can feel my enemies, like the chill go up my spine, I can feel it. If I want to act on my enemies, I might use a yellow candle. But again, black or white can stand in for everything. And whenever you're working with infernal spirits, red is usually also permissible. So usually the three basic colors are black, red, and white. And I have a collection of black and red, but I have a whole stack of other colors too. And you'll usually see black and red on my altar. And it's just that simple. Even with Malphas, I usually use those three colors. So hopefully that answers that question without making it too much of a non-answer. I hope that see, that's the thing I'm afraid of. Sometimes my answers can seem like I'm not giving you one. So I want to make sure I'm telling you why I'm giving you a non-answer, if that makes sense. So
I feel like generally the most truth is found in the non-answers, as you put it, in the I feel like very rarely are things just a simple, oh yeah, do X.
Mm-hmm. And that's fine for a beginner. I mean, when a little kid's learning their ABC, you don't tell them why an A is shaped the way it is. You don't go, well, back in Phoenicia, you don't go to that whole big, deep, thing where you explain to them what everything means. They need a process that they can focus on to work with. And that's why it's not wrong either. I think the difference is like when I did become the Maelstrom, one of my pet peeves about magical books, magical encyclopedias, if you will, the beginning books for people, you have, what are the big ones? I know I have never read a Gallery of Magic book, but I hear good things about them. I should pick one up just to see what they're like. But there's a lot of books. What is it, the 12 Lessons of Modern Magic? When I bought it when I was a kid, I didn't even buy it. My friend had it and I read it, or part of it. I think it was only 5 lessons of modern, or 7 lessons of modern magic. These books don't tell you a lot of the fundamental elements of working magic that, to me, are very fundamental. They don't tell you that stuff. They'll say, well, here's how you make a circle, and then they'll say, well, visualize. Now, I can't tell you how to visualize, but I can tell you why visualization works, so that you understand why visualization helps. Then I'll tell you how to do energy work a little bit. So it's not just, it's really easy to picture a blinding light hitting your sigil. It's another thing to feel the blinding light. It's another thing to channel it through your body. It's another thing to breathe the energy into something. When you do all of these things together, you're creating a mind, body, spirit connection, the alignment of the 3 basic parts of what reality is. Kind of like the 5 elements. You're bringing them all together. When you bring these things together as one intentional action, they tend to manifest things for you. And so, by the same token, when I'm reading these other books, I'm going, well, they're not telling me what they mean by, they're telling you, they'll say visualize this. Why am I visualizing a white light? Why is it white light? Why isn't it blue? Can it be a different color? Why can't it be that color? And then you have to realize what they're really trying to tell you. Like the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, right? You have these different things that mean something very deep. There's a reason why you learn that first. And I think maybe Johannes and I were talking about this, or somebody was in a private chat not long ago. There's a reason you do that first. Because if you can master that ability, every other technique in magic is contained in that one. I don't use it, but I don't disrecommend it. I just don't like the symbolism of using angels and tetragrammaton. I don't care about all that. I'm not into that. But the concept of those things does count. You can replace those things with other concepts that resonate with you better. This is why people can make an infernal version of that and it'll work just fine. But it's the key thing is learning why you're doing those things. Why are you visualizing the four corners? Why are you visualizing the blinding light? Why are you visualizing yourself getting bigger? Why are you doing each little piece? What is the point? And then how do you execute them? Do you just say, before me is whatever, Uriel, whatever the spirit or whatever you're conjuring? Is it just what you're saying, or is there something you're supposed to be doing internally with that? And then why? Why are you doing that? So I wanted in Become the Maelstrom, instead of just saying, yell this at the corner of your room and then draw this on a piece of paper and then jerk off on this sigil, I wanted you to understand what that means in energetic terms. What is that? How do you do that? What does that process feel like? Because that's when it's really working. A lot of times I tell people what I show you in my videos of ritual is not the important part. The important part's what I'm feeling when I'm doing it. And if I'm not feeling it, I stop. If I'm feeling it, I keep going. I'm rambling again, guys. I'm sorry. I'm ranting. Forgive me. But hopefully that answered everybody's question, and now we can stop the video.
Well, tell you what, I'll break things up. Not a question, but we do have a comment. I don't recognize this person. I think this is their first time in the chat.
Then
it comes
they must
from
fight.
Camilla's Random.
Oh God.
Says.
Don't kill me, honey. I love you.
Says at DH Thorne. Ever since you put up those stickers, I've been seeing shadows a lot more at work.
Mm-hmm. Even before that, but especially after that, like she's been talking about it. She put what was that? The thing on our private Discord, not the one that you guys are all in, but the one that's private. A photograph of like I could swear I saw something under there before today. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. It's it helps them manifest. There's energy being put into a gate, and the gate helps the egregores manifest. It's just that simple. And you will see more things, one way or the other, whether it's events in your community like Josh talks about or other stuff. Yeah. Do we have any other call-in people? And if anyone who doesn't know showed up late, we are doing call-ins tonight. So
I do actually. Let me wrangle them on in here.
Talk to Josh. I need to rest my voice. Oh. Shut up, Josh. You're talking too much.
Actually, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can.
Awesome. My headphones died again. I guess I need a new pair.
Oh, I thought I caught that.
Yeah. DH, you actually touched on kind of the process of how I got to where I am as far as magic. I actually picked up a Gallery of Magic book, and that was one of the first books that I bought. And I worked through it, and I was like, okay, well, this is really simple. Like, it's effective and it works, but why?
Mm-hmm.
What I need to understand why.
And that's what I heard. I've heard also, did you buy more than one or just the one? I want to see, because I know people who swear by them, but they say you got to read them all, sort of, because each one teaches you something else.
I actually own every one that they've published, just because it's something that if somebody is new on their path and they want something that just works, then cool. Here's a tool that you can use. Yep. If you really want to dig in and you want to learn and you want to understand the processes, then no, that's not that's not where I would go with that. But I've got all their books, and the stuff that I've done out of them has worked, and I've gotten results off of it.
Yep. I've never heard a bad thing about them. We'll put it that way. I've never heard anything bad about them.
It's mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
is the best that I can describe
let's
it.
compare for just a moment. I know some people in the chat like martial arts too, and I know we got a person on. We'll talk to him in just a second. Let's compare magic to martial arts for a moment. When you go to a martial arts school, do they tell you every little nitty-gritty reason why you should structure a punch the way you do, or a break, or a block? No, they just tell you move your arm like this and it'll work. And there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, I would say that it's not wrong. It's just at some point, I prefer the deeper lesson. And even in martial arts, so martial arts is a purely physical sport, so you don't have to be a professor of how to lay your body out to make a punch perfect. What you do need to know is how to perform it. That's all you need to know. Magic, though, you can start off by performing it, but at some point, to really, really, if it's going to be your thing, you've got to understand why. And that's why even in martial arts, when you get to like a black belt, now you know why you line your body the way you do in a punch, so that your power comes from the floor, not from just your arm. You understand why and how that works. So I wanted, in my book, how do I squeeze it all into one package so it's like you're learning the whole thing at once in a way that you can work with. And I don't know, I hope I did it. Don't worry, version 2 will come out sooner or later, and that'll be a thing, and I'll clean it up a lot, and I'll probably add a lot to it. But so this is only the first edition, so we'll see. If
you keep adding stuff to it, Flesh Priest is never going to get through it.
True. Yeah. You got to finish it before I do anything, Flesh. You got to hurry up.
Unless, of course, Flesh Priest was doing other things and didn't catch anything until he heard his name.
Out with the Priest of Flesh. How dare you?
I'll never get to it. It's not even a worry because it didn't even process through here. That's my secret.
So I see a good guy that we've had on before waiting in the wings to talk.
He's been so patient, and I'm no JD Temple, but please let me attempt to introduce in a JD Temple fashion Dice Controller 187.
187 on an undercover cop. What's up, brother? How you doing, Dice?
All right. Can you hear me fine?
I hear you good. How about everybody else?
Yeah, you're good.
Good.
Good. Great. Yeah, I had a couple of questions I was going to ask you about tonight. One is really weird. It's kind of an anti-shadow person question. So I don't know how you're going to feel about that.
I'll have to kill you. No, just kidding. Go ahead.
Probably could.
I don't know, dude. I probably couldn't. I'd probably be like, no, you seem like a nice guy. Don't make me do it. Oh.
We like having Dice around.
We do. Dice is cool. I wouldn't do anything to Dice. He's cool as hell.
Good. Yeah, before I heard that there was a community online, I guess it was JD Temple was the first person I heard of, and I didn't know that there were interactive videos, and I was still kind of coming off that whole Christian paradigm thing where you just know what they say about entities like Lucifer and this and that. So I at the time, I thought it would be fun to kind of mess around with some of this stuff. I don't know why I had that attitude, but I did, and he had some type of, I guess it's like a meditation chant for Lucifer, and it goes on. It's just over and over for like a long time, maybe hours. I forget how long it is.
Yeah. I've got one too. It doesn't go on for hours. You got to replay mine. Unfortunately, it's only 12 minutes long, but most people like it even in 12 minutes. It gets them somewhere. But yeah. By the way, before I answer, before we get deeper into that, are you in the infamous basement, or is this someplace else? Is this the?
You know what? I'm not. The basement? What do you mean?
Oh, the story you had last time you were on. We were talking about you were in that.
No. I actually had something about that to add to later on, but okay. No, this has nothing to do with that. This is like a year or two before that.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I was listening to that nightly for like a few nights, and then I was on deliveries on another job. I was working as a delivery guy late at night. I'd say about 11 o'clock. We were just closing. And I was on the highway. My car doesn't go very fast, so everybody's zooming past me in their little sports cars, and I'm just trying to go the speed limit. And I found myself on a stretch of highway where I was alone for a while. And up ahead of me, I started to notice like a bunch of water spewing out of the road. It looked kind of like if somebody broke a pipe or something, and maybe 10 feet up in the air, and it would splash back down over the ground. So as I got closer to it, I realized it wasn't water; it was light.
Really?
And I was like, "What the hell is this?" You know. Anyway, as I got closer to it, it started there was so much of it, it didn't look like it was falling anymore. It was starting to form like a shape, a solid shape. And right as I passed by it, it formed into the shape of a man. And it was completely made out of light. I mean, the brightest light you could ever see. But after I got past it, like if I closed my eyes, you know how if you look at a lighter for a little while, it leaves an imprint if you close your eyes.
Yeah. It could actually be a black imprint, like a dark imprint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It
But it didn't have that. There was it was imprint at all. So I was like, did that just take place in reality, or was that in my mind? You know, and it disappeared right when I drove past it so fast. Sorry about that. A car passed by.
That's
It
right.
disappeared so fast that it almost defied seeing, is the best way to describe it.
Sure.
And first I thought it might just be me, but then I started to see lights of all the cars that had passed me, and they looked scared of me because they were all spread out all over the highway, and none of them were in that same lane that I just went through, and I was still driving like 70 miles an hour, the speed limit.
Yeah.
All of them had slowed down to about 35 miles an hour. And I was like, what the hell just happened? So I forgot about it and finished my job that night. And a couple of days later, I was in a library. And then I saw this pen lying on a table by itself. So I figured I needed it. I figured I'd use it. I went over and grabbed it. And had this really cool light on it. I mean, it would light up. And I looked at the inscription on it. And it said, let your light shine, which I thought was kind of weird after that whole experience just happened, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty weird, yep.
So my question was, could that have something to do with the spirit Lucifer, since he's always about light, the light bringers?
It could be. I would say possibly. I mean, I wouldn't want to, just from that description alone, you know, when we get messages and symbols and omens, it would be a disservice of me to tell you who and what it was and what it's supposed to mean. My job would be to illuminate the possibilities, and then you're supposed to figure it out. That's the whole reason they sent you the message. And sometimes they send you the message to relate to someone else, and then that person gets a message from that too. So I could be getting a message too. So it's not like you shouldn't talk about it. But I don't want to be the guy telling you who or what it is. I will say that from the perspective of just shadow people don't always just show up as shadows. I will say some of the higher order ones, like Ronzael in particular, can take on other forms, but shadow people are shadow people, and generally there's a difference. But back to your point and your question, so a being of light, there's 1,000,001 different things that may show up that way. You can have, you know, what are archons, angels, you know, Lucifer would definitely potentially show up as a being of light. Many of my visions of him have been, he's the only light in the darkness, basically. Some have, if we're doing a very, we'll say, you know, maybe a less magical but more mystical perspective, would say Lucifer is the higher self just before you reach, you know, source divinity. It is the self-aware self. It is something like that. The enlightened self, the spiritual Buddha, the Buddha of the West. There's so many different ways you could maybe talk about what Lucifer is. Would Lucifer manifest as a light? Maybe. Or this. The thing is if you're having the thought, then that's probably what I would go with. In other words, if you see something, especially if you're untrained in this, you're still new at this, which you are, or, you know, new at practicing it anyway. When you see something and you have a gut reaction, I wonder if that was Lucifer. Lean into that. Trust it for at least a little while. Test it, but trust it. So what that means is, one of the things a noob will do is that they will disregard an obvious message like that, or they will read into a message the wrong way into self-importance land. I can't tell you how many people come to me telling me that they are the incarnation of this and that they're a god, and that they need to do this and that, and they're here to fight the evil or fight the devils or fight the gods or whatever it is, and they're living in their mom's basement and they're nobody and nothing ever happens to them. And I don't mean to be nasty, but that's a thing that happens a lot. It's a way of coping with what they are not satisfied with in themselves. But then there's people who get a legitimate message, and because maybe they have self-doubt, or maybe they don't know that that's how the messages work, they don't respond to them with an open mind, because they've been trained, and rightfully so. And in most cases, you don't just jump to conclusions, right? In your normal life, it's wrong to jump to conclusions. In a spiritual realm, however, you have to, but you still have to test things, but you have to make the gate open up. You have to, if you see something, say that, you know, that mark on the ceiling reminds me of Jesus. Oh, well, then you just lost the message. If you go, that reminds me of Jesus, I'm supposed to be thinking about Jesus now. What's Jesus trying to tell me if you're a Christian? even if you're not, that you may still work with that spirit. The same thing applies to these spirits. You saw a light that shouldn't have been there, whether it was there or just a trick of some kind of, maybe it was reflection, who the fuck knows. However you saw it, though, the place your brain's going is that Lucifer? Well, I'd lean into that. What's the worst thing that happens is Lucifer says, hi, what's up? No, that wasn't me, but let's talk. What's the worst that happens, right? So, but always, what was that Reagan who said, trust but verify? Trust but verify your intuition. The Bible says test the spirits, but it doesn't mean ignore them. It means you hear them, you listen to them, you let them tell you who they are, and then you test them with you test them. So do that. You've gotten a feeling that might be what it is. Test it. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah,
Josh?
now I'm checking into that, but back then I'm not gonna lie, I was too scared. I even stopped messing around with interactive videos for a long time.
Well, any doorway you open lets things go in both ways. So when you're messing around with interactive videos and people doing rituals and you're not necessarily ready, this is why I don't do a lot of public rituals. I've done one, and it was a little different, and I kind of thought to myself, well, you know what? There's a lot of newbies. Good thing I'm doing it this way, because if I did it some other way, it might screw people up. So even that's why I don't do a lot of them. If I do rituals and share them publicly, that's one thing. But if I do a public ritual, like if you watch this video, you can get the benefit too. Well, sometimes that's good, but then sometimes you have people who don't know what's going on, and they'll do this work, and they light up like a Christmas tree in the astral realm for spiritual beings that might want to, eat them. And they get all kinds of crazy crap happen. I've had people come to me and say, I read the Necronomicon and now I have dark spirits in my house. It's like, relax. You're opening a doorway, so things are coming through. Relax. They're not, I know you're new at this, so just relax. They're not there to kill you.
I believe it.
What's that?
I said, I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah. So that's a good point. So you said you had another, Josh, do you have any input before I jump into the next thing? I see you're kind of flagging a little bit. You might have to go.
Well, no, I just looked down. I have to be up in 4.5 hours. But
dude, you should have gone like an hour ago. It was fine. It's cool.
Whoa.
No, I can survive purely on caffeine and hate. We'll be fine.
Kind of like my bird, but without the caffeine.
So, as far as what Dice was talking about, I came from a very dogmatic background. I was raised independent Baptist. There's a ton of dogma in that system. And when I first started working with magic, that's why I picked up a Gallery of Magic book, was because the one that I picked up was purely angel magic, is what it was. And I started working with it, and then a buddy of mine was like, no, here, try this. And he had started working with Belial, which was a brilliant plan. Everything blew up in a good way. But we started trying to use that system, and it took about 2 rituals for us to be like, oh no, this is not the process that we want, because it didn't free up the ability for us to see those messages, to feel those messages. And I worked with Lucifer for over a year before I started working with DH, and the light that you talked about is something similar to what I've seen. I've had some similar experiences. Whether that was him or not, I don't know. But what I do in my day job is purely scientific method. Everything I do is scientific method. I'm in college for psychology. I'm working on my master's. Everything I do there is scientific method. And then I leave that to the side for magic. And there's times when I find myself falling victim still, even years later, to paralysis by analysis. something will happen, and I'm like, oh well, maybe it was this. Maybe the wind caught something and did it, or maybe there's a mouse in my attic running around right now, or I'll come up with all these excuses for it. But it happened right when I was in the middle of a ritual. It happened as I was speaking to this entity, and at some point, I just kind of have to let go and trust that. Because if I don't, I will never actually accomplish anything in this realm, because I'm constantly looking for a way to disprove it instead of just accepting it.
Yeah, that's why I have the saying: just because you can explain it away doesn't mean it didn't happen that way. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you say you didn't like working with the Gallery of Magic?
The Gallery of Magic stuff, like I said, it worked. But for me, somebody who's very process driven, it wasn't for me long term. It gave me a foothold to get the results, to build the idea that, hey, I can do this. And once I got that, I have all their books. I've read all their books. I haven't worked through. I worked through one of them. The other ones I bought purely for other people to look at when they ask me questions. That way I can just hand them a book and say, here, read this. Let me know what you think. Because for me, even as mechanical as that system can be, I'm not going to give you the answers. I'll hand you the book and say, here, it's in here. You can find it if you look hard enough. If you really want it, you'll find it. Because the reality is, you already have the answer. You're coming to me asking a question, but you're also positing a solution at the same time. And to do that, you've created your own solution. I guess that's all I got on that. I am starting to flag. I'm noticing it now that I'm talking.
Dude. Well, we're only going to be going for a little bit longer anyway, because we're approaching hour 3. We don't like to go past 3 anyway. Not that we don't, but we don't like to. Dice, did you have any other stories or questions you want to bring up in the last 15, 20 minutes while we're here?
Yeah, I'll try to make it quick. It does have to do with the haunting and in the basement, and interactive videos. Now, I know that JD has this it's kind of like an apocalyptic prophecy of the grid going down soon from the spirit Baruch. Well, when I was still, I didn't have enough time last time, so I kind of left it out. But after a couple of months of making peace with this entity, for whatever reason, timing was just perfect. The company decided that they were going to move all of the stuff out of the basement. And so it took them like construction workers all day, every day for like a month to move all of this stuff out. I don't know what they did with it. A lot of it went into the trash. Anyway, because of that, the haunting started up again. They started messing with me every single day. And I knew that for some reason, just intuitively, I knew that talking to them this time wasn't going to do any good, because they'd probably gotten confused. Who knows what they see in their world? Maybe they see me carrying that stuff out. I don't know. But I decided to use JD Temple's interactive Baruch video for cord cutting. They said it could be used. I heard orally say it probably could be used against people or entities. So I just focused on what the problem was the entire time. Used the interactive video, fell asleep during it, which he said was even better. Woke up about an hour and a half after it was over with, went to work, got something to eat, and it never happened again. I mean, it fixed everything. So, I mean, interactive videos do have a lot of power. But my question for you is, normally I wouldn't take the prophecy thing seriously, but it's the same spirit that I've gotten excellent results with in this museum. So, and I'm aware that spirits can sometimes be wrong. I still don't think it's going to happen, but what do you think about that?
So my interpretation of prophecy is partially something I understand, and also something that EA brought to my attention one night when we were talking. I'll tell you EA's take on it first before I insert what I've got on it. So prophecy is something that it's not meant to be a prediction of what will happen. It is rather something that when something happens, you'll go, oh shit, I knew about this. It's meant to give you a message in the moment of its experiencing. So I can tell you that when I was younger, especially if you read Shadownomicon, a big part, and I don't talk about everything that we went through, but a big part of that was that the cult that we had formed was based around stopping the end of the world. It was based around like surviving or stopping the apocalypse. And there was a lot of prophecy that went into that. And it was a lot of things that we thought of as predictions. Like, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And if we treated them as literal predictions, then none of it happened ever. If we treat them as metaphorical prophecy, however, it's all coming to pass exactly as it was said that it would. And we can correlate.
Metaphor,
Yeah. So we can correlate a lot of things. And as these things keep happening, and I go, I remember this is something we predicted, but not this, but this, right? So prophecy tends to be this, prediction tends to be this. So prophecy is a big picture ticket. It's like, there will be wars and rumors of wars in the Bible and Revelation. Now, I think that was really talking about Rome of a certain period, but whatever. Let's not split hairs and decide whether the Bible is legitimate tonight on tonight's stream in the last 5 minutes we got. Let's just assume that prophecy generally is meant for an experience that we have in the moment. And so if you remember seeing the movie Signs with M. Night Shyamalan made it, and it's got Mel Gibson and other people, and there's like aliens on top of the house and all this other crap. If you remember in that movie, all throughout the movie, these things happened that were actually meant to be important for later. And I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it, although you probably should have by now if you're living in the current year. But everything came to pass in a way it was like it wasn't a prediction, but rather when it happened, there was a message in those things that inspired the right solutions. So in the same sort of thing, everything that was predicted in my own thing is coming to pass, and it's giving me clues on what to do now because it's relevant. So JD's prediction of a grid down, maybe, but it could be metaphorical. It could be there's plenty of power. It's not a solar flare. It's not a nuclear bomb. Although the Chinese do supposedly have EMP weapons. We don't get into that right now. And I will tell you, like Josh and I talk, because Josh is a military guy formerly, and we do have conversations about world events and strategy and things that are tinfoil hattery, but they kind of make sense. Don't think for a moment that the floods in China were just floods in China, or that the hurricanes we're having are just hurricanes, or that the fires that are happening in California are just fires. It doesn't work that way. Not with this kind of consistency and timing, okay? So just saying, there's things we don't know about, things we'll never know about. So do I think he's right about the grid's going to go down? Well, they're always saying the grid's going to go down. That's one of the most popular prophecies of the end of the world that is out there, is for whatever reason, a solar flare, nuclear war, something, the grid's going to go down. I think as a metaphor, he's right, but I don't think it's necessarily a technicality that'll happen. I don't personally, and I'm not discrediting him, I think that it's more like we're having a friendly wager, which version of it's going to be. Will there be a grid down? Will the grid go down? Will there be? Well, if we're talking about the grid as a metaphor, the metaphor of the grid is the entirety of human communication and the ability to interact, with energy. Like, so what does that mean? Well, we kind of already are experiencing that. We're all locked the fuck down. We're all trapped in our own homes. So we already kind of are experiencing the grid down in the metaphorical sense. Will it get worse? Like I said, I did a universe jump recently, so all bets are off at this point. It may be different now, but I predict it's not going to get better till it gets worse. I think everything that's going on right now is really just like, there's like 10 steps to the end, and we're on step 1 or 2. And it may be 10 seconds to midnight, but we got 8 seconds left. So what you're seeing in the world right now is what happens when the globalists that run everything suddenly get resisted against by the powers that currently be, and there's some opposition that they weren't really ready for. They thought they were, but they weren't. So now they're pulling out all the fucking stops to collapse things enough that people turn on the thing trying to stop it. And it's not saying the thing trying to stop it is better or worse. If we're speaking in code, we know what we're talking about. It's not to say that it's better or worse, but it is to say that it does oppose what was being done. Maybe they oppose it because they want to rule it. Doesn't really matter. They're opposition to it right now. So they're pulling out every support beam that they can find because they know they're going to lose the next battle. So it's kind of like, Josh, you can back me up. When you know you're about to lose a fight, do you stay and fight? No. If you have people that want to stay and fight, what do? You give them trip mines and traps and booby traps and bullshit, and when they come in, you pull the last bit and the base collapses on your enemy for you. You don't sit there and fight them in the sense that you're trying to win. You're trying to resist and hurt them as much as you can while they win, so that the next battle you have an advantage in. So what I think is going to happen is this: you're actually probably going to see 2020 is going to end with a bang somehow. I don't know. When I say bang, I don't mean a war bang. I don't mean a big bomb. I don't mean it's going to be cities literally burning down. What I mean is we haven't hit the climax yet. We're going to hit the climax. Then there's going to be a denouement, and then don't be surprised if there's arrests, and don't be surprised if there's insurrection acts being used. Don't be surprised if there's a lot of crazy shit in 2021, as well as a very it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. That much I can tell you for sure. It's going to be wild. No matter who wins the election, shit's about to hit the fan for 2021. Doesn't matter who wins. Doesn't matter what it's going to get a lot crazier before it gets over. And I think the people that are currently angling to win right now will probably allow enough of the status quo to remain so that people that aren't ready to see what's going on won't have to deal with the full flash of reality all at once. So in other words, let's say, for example, the tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists are right. And I think they're about 50% or more right, which is way too much. In other words, if they're 50% right, we're 100% fucked. If they're 50% right, and what they're saying is the plan, we're talking like Alex Jones, David Icke, all these kind of people that talk crazy shit. If they're 50% right, then we're 100% fucked. And whatever's going to happen, let's say, for example, Donald Trump's not a good guy, but he represents opposition to that. Let's say he wins. He's not going to parade all of the bad guys down Main Street in chains. You'll see a few high-level arrests, but not everybody. You'll see a few. You'll see a few superstars in Hollywood. You'll see a few political figures go down. You'll see a crackdown on the most violent people, but the crackdown will be hopefully just right, so it's targeted very specifically, and it will just kind of die down a little bit. What you'll see after that is a new arms race, and it's going to be big, and you're going to see a buildup of the United States and the rest of the world that's not part of the U.S. and their allies. So you'll probably see the EU and China arming up against the USA, India, Russia. Yes, Russia's on our... Trump is working with Russia, just not the way that they're trying to say he is. USA, Russia, India probably, maybe Pakistan, certainly parts of Eastern Europe that don't want to be in the EU, maybe the UK, Iceland, Greenland, Mexico probably. So you're going to see this Axis and allies start to form where it's going to become a two-government world for a little while, I think. Whether that means two formal governments or just two sides, two factions that kind of build up and then have proxy wars or have a big war, I haven't gotten that far yet. I don't know. But that's this year coming up. I think you're going to be all right, ultimately. I think we will all be all right. I don't think they're going to allow the pulling of the proverbial plug, because if they wanted to do that, they would have done it already. So I don't think it's going to be a pulling of a plug. I think they want to herd everybody into cities that they can, and they want to control you and sterilize you and fuck you up for the next 50 years so that they can control it all. But that's just me. Maybe I just need my tinfoil hat. What do you think, Flesh? Should I wear my tinfoil hat tonight?
I think you should always wear the tinfoil hat.
I don't think I ever took it off.
I think the only safe way for us to truly communicate anymore is by getting into that disconnected CSGO servers and typing messages to each other using bullet marks that we leave on the wall.
I think that was one of the most brilliant, like, freaking ideas that you've ever had. Like, that should be in the Anarchist Cookbook.
I can't take credit for that.
You can't?
I stole that idea.
You did steal it?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I hate to take some of the fire away.
For real, that's like it's like smoke signals, but like you're not, it's perfect.
So, I think we're on the wrap up.
Yeah.
There were some questions. I'm gonna jot them down to get to next time. We gotta make sure everybody gets some rest.
I'll see you guys later.
You know our usual fucking bullshit. Buy this crap. I got the fucking hold on. I better get the white light for it. I got the fucking DH tank top finally in.
Hold
yeah.
On. Let me do this. Don't hide your nipples. Suddenly Josh is like, nipples? What's that?
This motherfucker over here, I said, hey, I want that tank, but I want it this way, and he made it for me that way. So that was very kind of you. You know the usual spiel, fucking buy our crap, books on Amazon.
Buy my crap.
All that, but I think a more, like, we have the Shadowmancer here, we have the DH here. I think a better thing to end off the stream on is Daniel's son was asking about it, and be good to wrap up with. Can we hear about more about the Shadowgate project tonight?
Shadowgate project, I think, is a little hush-hush for a reason, and that's because I don't think anyone could really interrupt it, but I don't want it is not something you can join now at this point. It is closed to new people for a while. After this current stage, when we've had time to assess what's happened, and it's going to be done just in time for all the shit to kick off next month. So it's going to be it's a perfect time for this, wouldn't you say, Josh? It's a perfect time for the Shadowgate.
It really has been.
Depending upon the results we have from this, it may or may not be done again. It may or may not happen again. And I mean, even if we have success, doesn't mean we're going to do it again. It's really going to be based on what it seems like we're going to. So Josh and I have already done our own experiments with it, and they worked okay. And now this is like phase 2. So like in any kind of process of developing something that's major, you have an inventor, then you have the inventor and his partner work on it, then you test it on a little group, and then so this is not something that's done yet. This is something that's not ready for prime time until we know that this is something that is, even if it was, this would still be something insular, I think, because it's not meant to be fucked around with just everybody. It's just really not. The Shadow Current itself, even though I put it out there as everybody come read this book, I caution you strongly against just jumping into it and doing it. It's more like, here, read this book. It's very useful. And if you feel like you're ready, then use it. Well, the same thing applies to this. The people that were meant to be part of it already are. So I can't really, I mean, Josh, would you augment anything I'm saying with anything extra, or do you disagree at all?
Yeah, I don't believe that it'll probably ever go as far as numbers far beyond where we are if we do it again. Just if somebody gets into it for the wrong reason or starts using it in the wrong way, it could really mess up their lives if they're not ready to do that. Yeah. If you're not ready, it'll become apparent very quickly.
Yeah. And we don't mean just like the sigils. That part's pretty safe. It's just a picture. It's just a sticker. It's not, you're connecting some energy to something. It's not that bad. But the actual gate opening is not for everybody at all. It's not meant for everybody to do. It's just not. Because it's also one of those things where if it works, it's going to be for you ultimately that sees the biggest difference ultimately, and the people that you've involved in it might also, like the people who are doing the sigil work. That's why you're going to be assigned to a veil cutter. We'll see if it affects your community too. We did it in our own communities, putting stickers around our town. So this is kind of like we're testing to see how much it affects people around the world when they also touch each sigil this way. So we shall see. We shall see. And I think I'll leave it at that. We shall see. So anyway, if you guys like the stream, if you like what I do, I put out a video, at least one regular video a week, and then one live stream. My videos are usually 20 to 40 minutes long. My live streams are 1 to 4 hours long. EA Quetting, JD Temple show up regularly. We have special guests all the time. We do a call-in show now. We might have to change the name, though, because I did not know this, but apparently Coast to Coast does use Ghost to Ghost, and people thought that's who we were because it's October. They're like, oh, you're on Ghost to Ghost? I'm like, well, yeah, I set it up. They're like, no, but you're... Uh-oh. So maybe we should call it something else.
A new name may be in the workings.
So we have to yell at Elric because he's taking credit for that title, which I think it was him who started it. So we have to yell at Elric and be like, how dare you get us in trouble with that? So
you want the credit, you get the blame.
You get the blame, that's right. So we might need a new name. The
name was too good.
It was a good name. I liked it. Everybody who's on Discord, give me an idea for a new name for these streams, these call-in streams. Give me something new that has the same zing to it. I mean, I don't care if it's DH Thorne's Ghost to Ghost, but let's do something. Let's if you're on the Discord channel and you're in the thing, put it under server suggestions. What do we call Thursday nights? If not Ghost to Ghost, what do we call it? And everybody who's not part of the Discord, Flesh Priest, flash them the link. There it is. It's up top. Discord, yep. Discord.gg/, what is that?
6EETR, 2 capital E's.
It's like B-Tree. It's like B-Tree.
Yeah. Just go ahead, copy and paste that into your browser. If you're already on Discord, you just need to add server and then put the last digits, everything past the .gg/. Put that part into your Discord and should add you right to the server.
Yeah. So if you like what we're doing here, and if you've not already, please share, like, and subscribe. Make sure you like this video. If there's 50 people watching and we have 20 people liking it, that's kind of weird. So show me the love, at least on the likes. And then if you really are getting something out of this and you want to somehow pay it forward, don't want to do a super chat, I actually prefer you buy crap, because then you have crap that you say, I paid for crap. I own crap now. Crap is in my hands. This is my crap now. So I have books and I have Teespring. I prefer that over any other support you're going to do. So if you want to support me, the best thing you can do, look in the description of this video, or the first pinned comment eventually will be up. We'll have links to my books as well as my Teespring and everything else. You can find it there. And this is my career, just so you know. For those of you who are new, when you guys pay me, this is what feeds me. So it's not like I'm like, oh, I have a full-time job and this and that, and this is tons of money. No, this is minimum wage work so far, but it is keeping me afloat, and it is what I love, and so therefore I am happy to do it, and I will keep doing it even if you don't pay a dime. But man, it sure helps when you do. So, and Flesh Priest, you're on the dole now. You're on the roll as well. Like, well, maybe not formally because you told me you need to wait till you give me a thing, but you're also helping Flesh Priest if you like Flesh Priest. He's part of it. He's part of the program.
And if you like Flesh Priest, I feel sorry for your life choices. But you know, the people that I don't feel sorry for the life choices, the wonderful people here in chat. Actually, really quick, I want to give a shout out to Nina the Mystic, who is always very helpful moderating in chat. She's fucking everywhere. You guys probably already know her, but she's going to be doing a live show tomorrow at 11 a.m. PST, 2 p.m. EST on R. Wayne Steiger's show.
And he's a brilliant guy. My favorite thing he's done was his playlist on Baal. Excellent presentation on the origin of Baal and all the stuff to do with Baal. Holy shit, is that an education? That's like college level shit. I love it. One of my favorite things he's done. The guy's a genius. I mean, I don't know how much of a magic user he is, so to speak, but the guy knows stuff, and he's got an excellent channel. He probably has never heard of me and doesn't care, but that's all right. That's all right. I pay it forward.
And shout out to everybody in chat who's made this a wonderful night. Collins, Dia Phoenix, and Dice Controller 187. People in chat: Arachnos, Blade and Cloak, Damiante Infernus, Danielson, Dia Phoenix, Iowana, Genray 7, Kevin Coles, Luciferius 666, Rowdy Craven, The Angry Finger, Yeshua, My Savior. If I did not mention your name, I'm sorry. I'm just going off of what I see in the participants. Everybody who I didn't get to, thank you very much. And you guys are the reason why we do these live streams.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man.
Just enjoy them.
It's a fun Thursday night. It just is. Like I know you. Like, you wouldn't do this unless you were enjoying it. So it's
yeah.
Like, forget even, because you're here for free right now at this moment tonight.
And and also the biggest thank you to the Shadowmancer himself. Thank you so much for being a part of this tonight.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
also shout out to Elric Elric
Elric,
of the ODD.
you got us
and
in
also
trouble with the
Patchwork.
name, dude.
Last
You're
moments.
gonna get. I'm gonna have to give you a mute on Discord, so no, we can. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Right.
Also, shout out to my
Right,
wife,
yeah.
Camilla's Random. She's actually stepping up her YouTube game a little bit. She's gonna be doing some more recipe videos. She just did one that I helped her with the other day. If you guys want to know how to make delicious cheesecake that's actually keto friendly, and even if you're not on keto, you will probably like it because it doesn't taste like diet at all. And I know people say that, but I've had people go, I can't tell the difference. It's good as fuck. I mean, it is so good, it's ridiculous. So go to her channel. We had a lot of fun making a cooking video. It's a lot of tongue-in-cheek comedy going on. It's a lot of fun. So go to her channel. You can find her name. Hopefully she might be asleep already, but if she's still here, she can just say hi, y'all, in the comments. Go to her channel. It's Camilla's Random. It's if it's not, it should be featured on my channel, but if I didn't do it, I will. Check it out. It's a funny ass video. And yeah. Dice, since you're still here, why don't you be our good night, good luck type of guy? You and Josh, say good night to everybody.
That's all, folks.
Oh fuck! Dice is still here. Dice, I didn't even notice. I was so distracted doing everything else.
Oh shit! He's sitting there all patient, just like, I'm having fun. I'm on video. Dice is cool. Josh, thanks for coming, brother.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again at some point.
At some point when you can actually sleep the next day. Yeah.
Yes, that would be nice.
All right, dude. Feel better.
You're gonna need another one of those bangs for the morning, man.
We're 3. Yeah. Worth
All right,
it.
everybody, have a fucking fantastic night. You all fucking rock.